Hello, everyone. How's it going tonight? And welcome back. So tonight's a little fun, special night. Tonight, firstly, I am Morgan Holsworth, followed with my fellow co-host,
Luke Walters. What's up?
and tonight we are with a special guest, a good friend of ours, Anthony Sturdivant, or you may hear us call him Dreaded, or Dreads, or Fro, because he used to have a fro, and that's what we're used to. But Anthony, hello, welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Hey everybody, I'm Anthony, or That Dreaded Fiend, and I'm a professional moron.
Yeah.
We should also preface this or include the fact that you are going to be a current guest, damn near a co-host.
Yeah,
I
pretty
suppose,
close
yeah.
to it, you know. He, when we were even putting only our shows out on YouTube, he was sometimes behind the scenes helping us with our cameras and our lighting and our audio, as well as occasionally being a guest with us, even then.
Yeah.
So, for some of you, if you watch us on YouTube and you're viewing right now, he may be a familiar face, but all three of us went to film school together, and we're excited to dive into what tonight holds. But before we get there, I want to thank you right now to the five to six viewers. I don't know. Our counts are always lagging behind, but thank you to everyone who's watching right now. And there's 5 people since last time we aired that gave us some follows, and we would love to give them a nice shout out and a huge thanks from all of us. So we'd like to thank No Looting, which is Michael. Thank you, Michael. We would also like to thank Jolly Doll 5, Nick Amati, which is Nick. Thank you, Nick, so much. Rainy Cloud Times. Thank you, Rainy.
My sass queen.
Yeah. And then how do I say the last one, Luke? You know them.
Yeah, Lizy.
M. Lizzie the Great. Thank you. You are all great. So, let's dive into it, guys. Tonight we are going over 2 different types of segments. We're going to be doing one segment is going to be industry news, so movie news, anything that relates to the movie, TV show, that kind of industry. News from that, and then also we're going to jump into one that we've been waiting to do for a while, one that makes us laugh and potentially throw hands, we'll see, is Spider-Man 3, the one from 2007 with Tobey Maguire.
Might be more throwing hands, but we'll see what happens.
So,
Right.
I mean, not at YouTube, but there are people involved with this movie that I would love to throw some hands at.
So we're going to get tonight started with our industry news. So let's see. We are starting with everyone a interesting topic that's been going on for quite a while since basically COVID hit, which is discussing how movies are releasing their films. Now, movie theaters almost everywhere are open. They're just doing a lot more limited showings, and the seats are limited and that sort of thing. But right now, was announced actually early December that a specific movie studio is taking their movie releases and simultaneously releasing them in theaters and digitally on HBO Max. That studio is Warner Bros. And basically, on November 18th of 2020, Warner Bros. Announced that they were going to be releasing the Wonder Woman 1984, because I can talk. They announced on November 18th that they were going to be releasing Wonder Woman 1984 in the U.S. in cinemas on December 25th, as well as available on the same day on Warner Media streaming service HBO Max. So, and it's all up for only 1 month after its release at no additional charge, and after that, it's taken off for. I don't know if it's still going to be available, but you can purchase a subscription to watch it. I'm not sure how they're going to, but I think they're just fully once it's gone, it's gone.
Yeah. It's probably one of those things where it'll come back eventually, after it's gone through its whole release and shit. I mean, it's going to end up there regardless because all the other DC movies are there. But yeah, for right now, it's just for the first month that it's out, it'll be out simultaneously in theaters as well on HBO Max. And, it's just made HBO Max that much more tantalizing to me.
Yeah. So Warner Bros. On December 3rd subsequently ended up announcing that the strategy was going to be extended to all of the studio's 2021 releases, We currently do not know if that will continue past 2021, but I personally don't see why it wouldn't. That's my personal opinion.
Yeah, right.
You know, basically this, if we're going to be honest, this announcement was met with a bunch of backlash across the entire industry. A lot of people were showing concerns that this would further erode the cinema industry and basically lead to its decline and its demise, if you will.
Yep.
And basically, it was really concerning that this move had been performed basically without any forewarning. It's just kind of like, hey, we haven't done any testing, but guess what? Here it is. Y'all get to deal with it. So, I don't know. Do you guys have any thoughts on this whole moving to digital for Warner Bros? I mean, right now it's the only studio that's fully announced it. There were some others that did digital releases in early COVID, but it's not to this extent.
I was pretty much mixed on that revelation because I love going to the movie theater to experience a film I'm super excited for. But at the exact same time, I'm like, well, I mean, with the way times are, I guess studios do want to, keep making money, release their films. So, like, well, what other options there? Well, we could release them, via digitally on, like, streaming services. Which I guess I see benefits and some concerns both ways, honestly. Personally, I don't know I don't know if I really wanted to continue after 2021. I definitely would be more on the lines of, I'd rather just see them go back to movie theaters, honestly, rather than continue constantly releasing films on streaming services. But
Sure.
at the same time, I mean, I guess it's something. Some people may not like going to the theater, so they can just watch the new films at home.
All right. So I know, Anthony, you're a little more pro movie theater. Let's switch over to Luke real quick and get your thoughts because I know you're a little more anti.
Okay, so it's really just because kind of I worked for a specific theater chain, and that specific theater chain I couldn't give two fucks about because they're fucking garbage.
I also just want to say I worked for the same movie theater chain, and I fully agree with you on that.
But this will probably have to be another video talking about the direct impact that this could have on theaters. Because I think it's great, especially now with COVID. It looks like we're actually on the road to moving past it. So I think theaters
Hopefully.
in the long run are going to be okay. But I think what this is going to do is it's going to be the death of megaplexes. So theaters that have 20 to 30 theaters in them are probably kind of done. If not now, it's coming real soon, I think. But the smaller ones, which I prefer anyway, I love smaller theaters. Those are the ones that are going to stick around, drive-ins and shit like that. Those are the ones that are going to stick around and probably thrive off of something like this. I think all this does is change the movie theater experience for something that you feel like you have to do to where it just becomes more of a novelty. That's my take on it. And I could talk more about how it's going to affect movie theaters. Like I said, that'll be another. But them doing this, HBO doing this, is great. I love it because now I just can watch Wonder Woman. I can watch Godzilla when it comes out, and I can watch Mortal Kombat when it comes out. So, like, I don't have to fucking go to the theater. I can just sit in my house and watch it. And let's be real, a lot of people, and me soon, probably have better sound systems and big screen TVs, and it's probably a better experience anyway. So just stay home and watch it.
Sure, that's interesting to think of. I mean, one thing is the biggest thing for me is since leaving the well, for the sake of everything, we won't drop names. Like, for the sake of I worked with the same chain, the same theater as you, Luke, and I mean, they're definitely more of the ones that are out for money. They don't really. They are one of the big theater names, and
they are a big theater name. Google it.
Yeah. But the biggest thing is for me is that I really don't want to see the local small movie theaters die because that's since leaving and basically not having free movies anymore. That's all I go. I only go to the local, like, Michigan-based ones, and I absolutely adore, and I've greatly missed because of COVID going to the theaters. That was like a once a week to every other week kind of like date night my boyfriend and I would do. It was something we always enjoyed, and then thank God he understands I'm into movies and I like to make movies, and that he can also geek out with movies at the end with me. Because like we love that experience. Like we go do a small dinner beforehand, then we go get some popcorn, watch the movie, and then on the way home discuss it, kind of like how we like to. And
Yeah.
I don't know, that's just like a really fun date night routine that I would absolutely miss, and we have been missing. And I think the switch to digital is great because some people can't afford to go to the movie theaters, but they might be able to, with this sort of thing, like they can't budget to go to these big blockbusters every week or every so many weeks like they would like to. So this one time subscription, instead of it being like a bunch of payments at different dates, it's one payment in one, in total, to actually go to to watch the show at home instead. Sorry, I was a little bit rambly, but
I mean, just yeah. So you could just look at it like, let's just say, for instance, in back-to-back weeks, Wonder Woman 1984 comes out, then Godzilla comes out, then Mortal Kombat back-to-back. Like, well, with what they're doing right now, all you got to do is pay the monthly subscription, and you get to watch 3 movies for like the price of two, essentially, depending on where you're at. It works out.
You're not wrong there. I think my biggest thing about why I don't want to see movie theaters, of course, go away is I, of course, love like theater experiences when you're like sitting in a room with maybe a bunch of fans of the same thing you are. Like Luke, for example, as you can see in the background of this, he has a Dragon Ball Super Broly poster, which we saw together, which was one of my absolute favorite theater experiences ever, being surrounded with just a bunch of other fans, because I don't honestly get that experience all
Yeah, that was fucking legit. So yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I want theaters to stick around. I'm just pretty sure that like the big chains, yeah, no, you're kind of fucked. But then you had all the power before anyway, and you probably saw this coming. So you were just trying to make as much money as you can before the bubble burst anyway. This just kind of made it happen faster. So I don't have any sympathy for you because it's coming anyway.
Sure. Well, is there any other like specific things you want to touch on before transitioning into our next industry news topic of the night?
Nope.
I guess what I can say is just some of the movies that were announced to be coming to it. We already named dropped films like Wonder Woman, which already exists, and Godzilla vs. Kong, which I'm looking forward to. But also we have the Tom and Jerry movie coming. We have The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It, which is fascinating. A film that I saw the play for, so I'm kind of excited for it, even though I hate musicals, In the Heights. Space Jam, A New Legacy, The Suicide Squad, Dune, and The Matrix 4. And we already name dropped Mortal Kombat as well. So yeah, I just thought maybe we should just...
There's 2 of those I'm super ready for. But we'll get to that. We'll get to that in a little bit.
Yeah, we will.
Yeah.
But I think that's all I have for that.
Sure. Hello, DJ Dorito99. Thank you for joining us. Real quick, to everyone who is in the chat and viewing us, if you have opinions on the stuff we are talking about right now, throw them into the chat, because we will actually read your comments. It may not be right away, but as soon as we can, we'll read them and even discuss what you sent us. So we love to hear extra opinions. So feel free.
We do our best.
Yeah, we do our best to chat with y'all. So the next thing on our docket to talk about is a voice actor.
Not so official.
Shut up. No, so sorry, DJ. That was just a list of ones that'll also be on streaming services. We will actually go through some other movies that are being released in 2021 a little bit later. So stay tuned for that. But anyway, there is a relatively well-known voice actor. I mean, he's not huge, but he's you may recognize his voice, or at least when I tell you who he plays, you may recognize who he is. There's a voice actor named Tom Kane. He was the voice actor for where is it? There it is. He was the voice actor for Jedi Master Yoda and Admiral Yularain. I probably just butchered that. Oof. But anyway, that's from the Star Wars Clone Wars. He also had roles within. He also voiced the Admiral within the Last Jedi trilogy. My apology. And he was also the voice actor for, because some of you are familiar with Archer, he was the voice actor for Woodhouse and Hans or Hans Hessler. I don't actually watch Archer. Please don't yell at me.
I think it's Hans.
Hans, okay. So Hans Hessler. But so going into this, Tom Kane recently suffered a stroke, and it has left him basically unable to speak, and this has really impacted his voiceover career. His daughter Sam, basically, she ended up going to Facebook with his consent and described her father's condition. She ended up releasing a full statement on it, and if you would like, I could read that to you guys. It's up to you guys, of course. I don't know if you want. Okay, so Sam ended up saying that our family wanted to share why my dad has been MIA. About 2 months ago, he had a left side stroke that gave him a right-sided weakness and damage to the speech center of his brain. This means right now he cannot efficiently communicate verbally, read, or spell. He is still competent and very much himself, but can only get out a few words right now. As many of you might know about strokes, it is possible for him to regain these functions back, and we have found him excellent care in Kansas City for speech, occupational, and physical therapy. But for now, we have been warned by his neurologist that he may never do voiceovers again. My dad still remains in good spirits, and his extreme stubbornness has helped him already show improvements in his speech. He is fully on board with me sharing this, and he will see anything you guys post. So he's done, as I said, a number of roles over the years in animated series. As I said, he was in Star Wars Clone Wars. He's an Archer. He's actually in the video game Star Wars Squadrons. You know, there's a lot of Star Wars stuff he's been in thanks to his Clone Wars days. He ended up even being additional character voices in Ghost of Tsushima.
He's also made some appearances in the Batman Arkham games, actually.
Yeah, he's been in the Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, The Black Order. So he's in a mixture of like animated and video games. And he also is known for Professor Oot. Oh my god, it's been forever. He was known as the Professor from the Powerpuff Girls, and I'm about to butcher the name, so I'm not going to say
Professor Utonium.
Thank you. It's been so long, but anyway, that's been some of the big roles that he's been in for the last 4 years, and there's even more that it goes on and on. But it's kind of insane to think, guys, that someone who's doing so well, just a simple thing like this can just crash and burn your career. And luckily they did, like they said, they announced that they're going through therapy to get him his voice back, and hopefully he can jump back onto his voiceover career. But I don't know what I would do if that happened to me. Holy cow.
That's a scary thought for real, though.
Yeah.
No, strokes are no joke.
Yeah, that is for sure. But I mean, I wish him a speedy recovery, and I don't know if you guys have anything additional to go into, but I know that he's pretty well known within the voiceover community, so I thought it'd be an important tidbit of information to share.
Yeah, no, perfect.
Yeah.
I don't have anything to add though, because I haven't followed his career that much. I was actually a huge Powerpuff Girls fan, so
I was
I'm down with Professor Utonium. Other than that, I don't got it. I hope he recovers.
Yeah, me as well.
He has my deepest sympathies, and looking at this list of everything he's been, it's just, wow, he really has been in a lot of things I've seen.
Yeah, right? It's like, oh, I played that game. I played that. Oh, I watched that. So
he's one of those guys.
Yeah.
Oddly enough, I think that's the most surprising thing I see here is he did a role in the show The Boondocks, which is one of my favorite shows ever, as Dr. Doomis, a parody of Dr. Samuel Loomis from Halloween. And looking at this here, he was also in Halloween H2O as Dr. Sam Loomis, which I find interesting, actually.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. Now I'm more familiar with him now. I think he did that, and that's why he ended up in Boondocks. Was because of that.
Yeah. Also, that episode was a really good episode. Anyway, but other than that, I don't have much else to bring up with Tom Kane, other than I hope him a speedy recovery and he has my deepest sympathies.
Sure. I would just like to thank DJ Dorito for the follow, and hello, Nick. Thank you for joining our chat.
Hey, what up?
DJ.
So we have another thing we want to like talk about, and that has to do
Yeah.
with some Batman stuff. And Luke, I'll toss it over to you for you to go ahead and discuss that.
Yeah, now we can start to get into it a little bit. So, as I'm sure most folks know, if they don't, if everybody does, uh, Ben Affleck was the last person to play Batman on screen until those of you that have probably seen the trailer for Robert Pattinson and his new Batman film that's coming out next year. I believe it's been delayed till.
I believe so.
Anyway, the news has come out that Warner Brothers and DC went into the way back machine and pulled out the OG big screen Batman. Michael Keaton is going to reprise his role as Batman for the Flash film. And there have been previous reports that he was taking over for Ben Affleck, but that has been cleared up today, that he's not taking over. He is just scheduled to be in the one, what's most likely going to be just a glorified cameo in The Flash. So I'm excited, bro.
I will admit when I heard the first rumors of replacing Ben Affleck, I was scared because I'm not gonna lie, Ben Affleck still is my favorite live action Batman. Y'all can fight me on that another day.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I thought to myself, well, this will be actually interesting. But then seeing the news that okay, so he's not taking over, he's returning to the role in the Flash film, and I'm like, oh, okay, so that's everything. All that's cleared up, and I'm excited to see how that actually goes regarding just what direction the Flash film takes, and what Keaton will bring back to the role.
Yeah, first of all, they need to make the fucking Flash film, right? Like that's step one. Stop announcing to me cast members and start telling me that they're filming like right now. I absolutely want Michael Keaton to come back in the role of Bruce Wayne and or Batman. However, I don't want it to just be a fucking cameo thing, man. I want a Batman Beyond movie, and I want to play Bruce Wayne, and I want somebody to fucking play Tanner McGinnis. That's what I want. And not that I'm sick of Bruce Wayne in these Batman movies that they're coming out with, but God, I want a Batman Beyond movie so bad. Like that's my perfect scenario, man. Is Michael Keaton comes back to play Bruce Wayne in Batman Beyond.
Could you imagine if they got Michael Keaton to come back as Bruce Wayne, and then they ended up casting Robert Pattinson as what's his name, Terry? What's his last name?
I'd have been okay with that too. Shit, that'd have been great.
Now that I'm thinking about like, wait, what? Why did he go with that? Actually, that would have been interesting.
I already told you my theory that if everything is like uber successful now, and like Justice League is really successful, and there's a newfound respect for what he was doing and everything, and they decide to reboot his universe, like Robert Pattinson's Batman could just be the young version of Ben Affleck's Batman. Ben Affleck can come back and play Batman again.
Yeah, that could be the case, but I guess that's not exactly what's going on because the Batman franchise, I don't even know how to explain this, but it's just we're getting 3 different Batmans, I guess. I'm not sure exactly what the news is with Ben Affleck, honestly, but it sounds like he may be returning to the role still. Then we got Michael Keaton, then we got Robert Pattinson. It's like different franchises going on. It's like,
I mean, let's be real though. They've been real bad with that with Batman anyway. There's been like how many?
I disagree. Batman's like the only one that they do get right.
Well, I'm not saying that they get wrong. It's just how many Batmans have we had over the years now? So.
Enough. We've had enough.
It makes sense for the Flash movie with the story that they want to tell, that they can go, to alternate universes, and they fucking bump into Michael Keaton. Shit, they just did it on TV and had oh god, what the fuck is his name? Kevin Conroy play Bruce Wayne in the fucking Arrowverse on TV. So like, it can be done.
That is fair.
You got anything to add, Morgan?
Not as much. I mean, I like Batman. I'm excited to see what they do with it. You guys are a little bit more into the DC realm than I am. I'll be honest. But
I just know Batman.
But I mean, I'm excited to see what they do. Not just with Michael Keaton, but even going into Robert Pattinson and everything else that they're getting ready to do with their whole plans with Batman. I'm kind of like, all right, how many more Batmans are we gonna get? Because there's been a lot so far. But hey, we'll see how it goes. As long as they do it justice, that's all that matters.
Correct. Fro, take it away.
Oh, well, speaking of the Flash film, I believe it came out either today or yesterday that Ray Fisher, who is known as Cyborg in the Justice League film, will no longer be playing his role of Cyborg. He's not appearing in the Flash. He is just officially giving up after an ongoing feud with Walter Hamada regarding investigations into Joss Whedon's behavior on set of the reshoots of Justice League.
Justice.
And yeah, that.
Justice League.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Justice League. And I'm the one who brought that up to you guys. And I'm over here thinking, well, shit. Because that's unfortunate because one, even if Justice League screwed the film up, I did like Cyborg in the film, even though everything, his art was pretty much cut. Yeah. And of course, I'm excited to see it restored with the Snyder Cut coming out. But yeah. I'm upset that though in the feud between Ray Fisher and DC has just gotten to the point that Ray is just not doing it anymore. He just can't do it anymore. And I respect why he chooses not to, because he refuses to work with Hamada. And I'm like, okay, I get that with all the feuds and stuff. But at the same time, I'm just really upset about it too.
Morgan?
I don't know. I just feel like as an actor, you're always going to end up kind of being stuck, sometimes acting alongside people you're not a huge fan of, or working with people you're not a huge fan of. So, I mean, I understand it, but at a time, there it goes to like, when is it like my part of what I wonder is like, what is so bad with working with the person that is making you stop? Like, what is going on? Is it something that is worse than what people are saying and it needs to be brought to light? Or are you just like, all right, I'm fine? I mean, there's a whole bunch of different things. I can understand about not wanting to be in a toxic environment. I totally get that. But at the same time, it's your job to like put out it's your job. I guess it's more so it's their job to make themselves money. But I don't know. I'm kind of mixed on it. If the level of toxicity that was in that environment for him pushed him to this point, it obviously must be a good reason for him to leave.
I would say yes, because
it sucks to see him go. Hopefully they can find someone who's worth the replacement.
So also I should have mentioned that they're not recasting the role in the Flash film. He's just officially out of the Flash film.
Oh, okay. So they just removed his character. Gotcha.
Yeah. And going back to the toxic environment, Ray Fisher isn't the only person who's come out about Joss Whedon. I mean, I know, Joss Whedon's behavior on Justice League, because I believe a stunt double for Wonder Woman, Gal Gadot, came out talking about, if you guys saw the movie, there's a scene, a really stupid, humorous scene of Flash falling on top of Wonder Woman the same way Bruce Banner did in Black Widow in Avengers Age of Ultron. And according to this stunt double, Gal did not want to do the scene, but Joss pretty much yelled at her, threatened her career if she didn't do it, and I guess she still wouldn't, so they resulted to one of her stunt doubles playing the role of her on the ground for the joke. And I don't officially remember, but I think at a point Jason Momoa may have came out talking about his behavior on set as well, honestly. And the entire time, he was being enabled by Jeff Johns, who was pretty much trying to be the Kevin Feige of DC, and the single person who ruined what I think the DC had going on from the beginning. And this is going into again Walter Hamada, who I guess was enabling them as well with the whole thing.
Yeah, Walter Hamada, for anybody who doesn't know, is like one of the head honchos. Like, he is one of the guys, one of the bosses.
So yeah, there's a lot that was coming out about Joss. So Ray Fisher wasn't the only person talking about the negative experiences on there, which means there was definitely some drama, which I of course believe, knowing the drama behind Justice League actually.
Well, I agree with Ray 100%, and I mean it's one of those things where it's.
Yeah, I mean, sorry, go ahead. I don't want to interrupt your thoughts.
Well, if nobody does anything, then it's just going to continue. And like, everybody's had a job that they don't like. We always have to eat shit, but like, there's a point. So I think when you get to the point where you're calling the environment toxic, that's when it's too much. Like, you should never refer to your environment as toxic. If it's toxic, shit has to change. Mm-hmm. That's pretty much it. And another thing that you actually missed, Fro, is that there's actually two cyborgs anyway. There's Ray Fisher's cyborg, and then there's the kid that plays cyborg in Doom Squad. Mm-hmm. So I mean, they can have cyborg in anything they want if they really wanted to. They can just bring in the other dude. And to answer DJ Dorito 99's question, mine's Heath Ledger. Always will be.
I have the same exact answer. Heath Ledger.
I loved Heath Ledger.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. Fucking shit.
Joaquin
God damn it.
Phoenix.
Yeah, Joaquin Phoenix is a close fucking second.
He did. He did the role great.
If they're not 1A and 1B, then my number. Well, they are 1A and 1B, I guess. It's Ledger, Phoenix, and then Nicholson. Sorry, Leto.
I swear to God, I'm the biggest defender of Jared Leto.
Actually,
talk about that another day.
That's just talking live action. If we're talking like the Joker, it's Mark Hamill.
Yeah, Mark.
You can get out of my face.
But yeah, we can talk about like Joker stuff another day because I got some stuff to say about Joaquin Phoenix. Not saying he did bad, but
No, that's fine. I will get to the Joker eventually.
Yes.
But that's all I have on Ray Fisher's Cyborg news there.
Yep.
Awesome. So next, we do have. We want to get into the films of 2021, and we want to specifically go into what are our personal top 5 most anticipated films. I don't know if you gentlemen would like me to go through what is being released.
No, we don't got time for that.
No, let's not go through all that.
Perfect. So, Luke, go ahead and start us off. What are your top 5?
Ah, motherfucker. So 1 is Godzilla.
Are you doing these in order, or are you just going?
No, 1's just Godzilla. Because the rest of them are just varying, and I might even list off more than 5, but I'll keep it under 10. Godzilla, Mortal Kombat, Fro, you just reminded me of Matrix 4, Halloween Kills, and Candyman.
All right. Should you want to go next, Morgs, or do you want me to go next?
I certainly could go next, or you can. Does not matter to myself.
Actually, you go for it.
Alrighty. All right. So sorry, Luke. I forgot to switch over to your camera when you were saying. But anyways,
it doesn't matter.
It's switched over to me now. But hey, guys, I don't know if we've had time to see myself personally, but my number 1 most anticipated film for 2021 is hands down, and I know it's not for you guys that are in this call with me, is Dune. I am so fucking excited for Dune. I cannot wait for Dune. I even bought the book. I'm reading it. I'm so excited. Number 2 is The Matrix 4, because come on, it's The Matrix. It's Keanu. Like, they have...
Real quick, I actually had to double check because previously Matrix 4 and John Wick 4 were supposed to come out on the same day.
Yes, they were.
I was John Wick 4 on my list, but I just checked. It doesn't come out until 2022.
Yep, they got delayed. They took this time to finish up Matrix 4 first, and then they're finishing up
Bullshit.
that.
I wanted to double dip at Keanu. Finish your list more.
I mean, it's probably because Keanu is really fucking busy also with Cyberpunk 2077. So, it's probably like...
The less said about Cyberpunk, the better.
Anyway, we'll go back over to me. So,
yeah.
Now the rest of these are in no particular order. I also am really excited for Godzilla vs. Kong. I was a huge Kong fan growing up with my father and Godzilla, so I'm super excited to see what this is going to put out with that. And
You've chosen the wrong side.
No. I didn't choose a side with that. I'm just saying that I'm excited. I grew up with Kong with my dad, so it's just kind of like a soft spot. Says now they're bringing I used to watch Godzilla like every time my brother and I we'd be going down to Florida. It'd be one of the movies we watch in the back seat of the car together. So I am excited for those. Then I am really excited for Raya and the Last Dragon. It is a Disney film. I think it's going directly to Disney Plus. I believe it follows a young Chinese girl. And anyway, it looks really fucking cute, and I'm about it. And it has very much a more Moana style. I think it's the same like artists and people who directed Moana. I could be wrong. I'd have to fact check all of that. But I also am super excited for Free Guy because come on, Ryan Reynolds, it's gonna be great. There's a few others like Mortal Kombat, Uncharted, Maverick, the new Maverick movie, and a few others. The list goes on, but those are probably, as of right now, with my current mood, my top 5. And how about you, Fro?
All right. So my number one most anticipated film, or just I guess anything for 2021, is the Snyder Cut of Justice League. Being somebody who has followed the release of Snyder Cut movement since the release of Justice League, even though I didn't officially hate that film, but now I kind of do, knowing what Joss Whedon was doing behind the scenes and everything. I have a newfound hatred for it now, honestly.
I feel that.
But I'm happy to see Zack Snyder's style return. The dark vibes for the DCEU is coming back as well, which I actually really loved. And as an aspiring filmmaker, I can't imagine how horrifying your vision to be butchered that hard, and you're getting another chance. And everyone who supported you paved the way for that.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I'm super excited for that. Then of course, Godzilla vs. Kong usually would be number one, but my problem is I feel like Godzilla vs. Kong has been done for a while, and there's just not a lot of marketing. It just the hype is just not there right now. But it will come, believe me.
It doesn't come out. It doesn't come out until May 21st. So
yeah,
I'm sure that marketing will roll out sooner.
It should be like a trailer now.
They really should.
I agree. I
Super Bowl.
agree.
Super Bowl trailer.
I'm gonna lose my shit. Okay.
That could be.
But yeah, I'm excited to see God and the Clash of the Titans. Then we have, oh, for the love of God, Fast and Furious. Wait, what? What's up, Luke? Okay. We have Fast and Furious 9. Yes, these movies are stupid, but they know that. But they're fun, and I can't wait to see Vin Diesel fight against John Cena. And for the record, I'm pretty sure John Cena's been in every single one of these movies. He was just in the background. We couldn't see him. Then we have Spiral from the Book of Saw. I've been intrigued since I first saw this trailer, but I'm really excited to see a different direction of the Saw franchise being taken, starring Chris Rock and one of my favorite actors. Well, actually, is my favorite actor ever, Samuel L. Jackson. So, whoa. So yeah, I'm excited to see that. And then number 5 is Halloween Kills. Out of every other movie, I mean, there's a few movies I can think of, but I'm excited to see Mikey return. I want to see where they take the next film, honestly. So those are the top 5 films that I'm looking forward to this year.
Awesome. So yeah, we have a few overlaps. I know you guys have more of the horror type films that are overlapping in there. Also, one that I didn't say that I'm super excited for is the Venom. Let There Be Carnage. I'm excited for that one.
I couldn't fucking keep the list going, god damn it, and Morbius as well.
Yes, Morbius as well. But
see, those films fall more in line with where we're headed, so.
Yes. Which, speaking of, if you guys, is there anything else you guys want to say about these films we're excited for? I know that. Oh shoot! How do I say it again, Luke?
Which one?
Is it Lizzie? Lizzie?
Izzy.
I'm sorry. I was going through and I was like,
no,
do you know
Lizzie.
this?
It's fine. Call him Lizzie. It's all good.
Lizzie. I'm so sorry.
It's Lizzie now.
No,
I'm gonna call him Lizzie.
No. Oh, I'm so sorry. I've created a worse demon for you because I already know he's a pain in the ass. I'm so sorry. But they say that Candyman looks insane, and DJ Dorito has never watched Godzilla.
Oh, DJ, why?
That's one of your people, huh, Fro?
Yeah, I know. DJ.
Talk to your boy. Talk to your boy. All right.
Listen, do yourself a favor. Start watching some Godzilla. Do it for me, please.
There's only like 30 films. Jesus Christ. Pick one. Literally, just pick one. Except for the one from 1998. You pick that one that you made a mistake.
Regardless of anything, I have an intense soft spot for that movie. That's the whole reason I love Godzilla in the first place. But when it comes to talking about these films, with the Snyder Cut and Godzilla vs. Kong, those are things I can just talk about that will take up the entire podcast, probably.
Yeah, that's why we're gonna do that later.
Yeah, we will get there. So, with that, kind of like ending on the note of Venom and Morbius. Sorry, Luke, can you head into the next topic?
Yeah, now we're starting to get into where this whole thing's headed anyway. So, for those of you who haven't been paying attention, they are doing. Supposedly, Sony is making Spider-Man 3 right now, and it looks like it's going to be a live-action Spider-Verse. sort of announcements to rumors are that Alfred Molina is coming back to play Doc Ock. Jamie Foxx is coming back to play Electro. The rumors are that the negotiations are currently taking place to get Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield in this film as well to reprise their Peter Parker and Spider-Man. However, the last thing I've heard is that Tobey Maguire might be being a bit of a diva and wants more money. I hope that's not true because I really want him to be in it. I would hate to have him sit out because of that. I think the only confirmed cast right now are like Tom Holland and Benedict Cumberbatch because Doctor Strange is also going to be in this film. It is either the film into the Multiverse of Madness or it's like a pseudo sequel to Multiverse of Madness. And I'm all for all of this. I want everybody to come back. I've read rumors that Thomas Hayden Church, who plays Sandman, Spider-Man 3, who we'll get to here soon, is supposed to come back. Willem Dafoe with the Green Goblin is supposed to come back. I don't care if this is all fantasy or whatever. It's fucking fake booking, but I want it to happen. I want all these people to be in this film. I don't care if they're just glorified cameos. As long as the film makes sense, I want to see them all. Kirsten Dunst and Emma Stone are also rumored to be returning. And I'm here for it. I want them all in. Throw them all in, man.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's going to be great. I'm excited to see what they do. I mean, we saw a bit of, like, the Spider-Verse, if you will, with Into the Spider-Verse, the animated film. So I'm curious to see if they're going to be pulling anything from there even. Any, like, bits of info and whatnot.
I'm totally okay if, like, I mean, this would be fucking hilarious if they did it. But, you know, just while it's going on towards, like, the latter half, or maybe even in the beginning, just fucking Spider-Ham just swings across the stream or some shit. Like, that'd be fucking great.
That would be nice. So
yeah,
do you have... No, I was about to ask if you had any thoughts, so please continue.
Well, of course, with all this news, all these rumors, I am excited, but at the same time, I'm not. And let me explain. So, of course, within the MCU, I've been with the MCU since 2008. I've stuck with it the entire time. It's had its high points, its low points. But ever since 2018, I really feel like I've just been kind of over it in a way. Like, Black Panther, which is actually my favorite MCU movie, even as much as I love it, I just wasn't in this hype mood for it. Especially Endgame, because, of course, Godzilla King of the Monsters was coming out the exact same year. And Endgame's a whole other topic as well. But it's just, I think I'm feeling the burnout from the MCU. I really think I am. So I hear all this news about the next Spider-Man. I mean, I'm excited, but at the same time, it's just like, when it comes, it comes. I'm not really on it like I am with, like, the Snyder Cut again. I keep going back to it. I guess it's because it's just different from what I've been watching for about 11 years now. So I guess I give it that. But that's not me saying, like, I'm not looking forward to this movie at all. Like, I really am. So I am excited to see what they do with this. But at the same time, it's not, like, on this top of my mind list when it comes to films, honestly.
Let me pose it to you like this then, because it's not an MCU film. It's a Sony film.
Well, yeah, I guess it still just kind of takes place within the MCU, I guess you can say, though, but still. But what was I going to say? But I will admit it is just with the only upcoming Marvel film that I'm genuinely looking forward to is Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Yes. And that's because I really love Benedict Cumberbatch, and I have a newfound love for Doctor Strange as well.
Dude,
I hope they bring in Brother Voodoo, but that's a whole nother discussion.
I didn't really know about Doctor Strange, the character, at all until I saw Benedict Cumberbatch's film with Doctor Strange. And I fucking love him. I love the actor. I love Doctor Strange. What an awesome character.
I have strong opinions about everything that you guys have said, but that'll be enough.
Stats Queen! I'm sorry. My Stats Queen.
You know, it's fucking Spider-Man 3, the new Spider-Man 3, whatever it's going to be called, and Venom and Morbius that are coming out. See, that's also the really intriguing thing to me, is that if those films are a part of the same universe, obviously the new Spider-Man that's coming out is within the MCU, right? But is Venom going to have connections? Is Morbius going to have connections? Because the trailer for Morbius already kind of does, because it has Michael Keaton's Vulture in it. So I'm excited for these films for that reason, and obviously it's a Spider-Man film, and that's my number one, man. That's my number one.
Also, DJ, I don't think you're gonna get much hate on that because, whatever.
Yeah, the Fantastic Four are kind of so.
Yeah, we'll see. Maybe if they can give us an actually relatively decent Fantastic Four.
They did give us decent Fantastic Fours. I love the first two.
Okay, I will say I enjoyed them, but at the same time, they could have been better.
They were bad.
They were made at a time when superhero movies weren't The Dark Knight. So, like, what the fuck do you guys want?
Which is fair. No, and that's totally fair. If you're trying to rate the Fantastic Four back then to nowadays, it sucks. And, well, not sucks, but there's problems. And...
No, the one that sucks is Fan-4-Stick.
And you know what's honestly, maybe a controversial opinion. Like, I acknowledge that movie is terrible, but it's weird because it's like I can see a good movie hiding in there somewhere.
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
You just have to, like, look at certain aspects to it.
Yeah. That's what makes it even more disappointing.
Yeah, big time.
Mm-hmm.
But, my fellow hosts, if I may, I am now going to transition the Spider-Man talk into why we're here.
Great.
Which is to go over Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 3. And this is something that, like you said earlier, we've wanted to do for a minute, and we actually attempted to do, but somebody forgot to hit record.
No. That is not what happened. You can fuck right off with that bullshit. I'm not letting you throw that kind of shade out. That is not what happened, sir. It hit record.
Okay, what happened then?
It hit record, but we were using the wrong camera, so it wasn't the one that kept recording. It stopped after 30 minutes. So
actually, hold on. Before we move into Spider-Man 3,
fuck off.
And this is just a little hope for me because they kind of made a nod to it in Homecoming. But I somehow hope that Miles Morales can also make an appearance in Spider-Man 3. I will.
You don't. Okay, wait, see, this is why I'm glad we're doing Spider-Man 3 now, so we can move on to the Amazing Spider-Man films, so we can finally get to the fucking Homecoming films, because I have so much shit that is pent up and that I'm holding back just to not make this a 10-hour-long video.
I can't wait, because I...
Oh, my God. Where are my fucking notes? Got them.
Okay, but now that was all I had to say last. I somehow hope that Miles somehow shows up, but let's jump into Spider-Man.
Alright, who wants to lead off on this shit?
Spider-Man 3 is amazing.
It depends. What do we want to start with? Do we want to start with, like, going through the review, or do you want me to start with, like, stats?
Quick stats, go.
Okay, so Spider-Man 3 began, like, basically the development of it began immediately after the successful release of Spider-Man 2, and was planned for a 2007 release, which happened. Right. Basically, during pre-production, Raimi originally wanted another villain to be included along with Sandman. His hand was forced.
He wanted just Sandman and Harry Osborn, didn't he?
I reading something. It looked like he wanted.
No, I think he wanted the Vulture.
Oh, might have been.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was the Vulture. Let me scan my notes real quick.
I mean, long story short, he didn't want Venom.
No, he did not want Venom at all. Venom was forced upon him, and also at the request of the producer Avi Arad. He added Venom, and the producers also added the request for Gwen Stacy. Basically, like,
which made no fucking sense.
Yeah,
like, okay, so
pointless drama.
Here's something to remember. Spider-Man 2 comes out, okay, and there's a debate that we can have as to what the best superhero movie ever is, right? You can make that argument. To me, it's Spider-Man 2, like, hands down, it is Spider-Man 2. We're coming off the success of that film, like, that shit. Well, what did we say? The writer got an Academy Award nomination or some shit.
Yeah, like, they won awards for it.
Yeah,
so
the movie is that good. We're coming off of that, and so his name is Avi Arad. He is the producer of those Spider-Man films. He still is the producer of these Spider-Man. He goes to Sam Raimi and he goes, "Listen, you're not making these films for the fans. It's time for you to listen to the fans and make a film for the fans. Put in Venom." And Sam Raimi's like, "I thought I was making these for the fans." So that's the whole reason why Venom is even in this movie. Sam Raimi has said it many times. He doesn't know shit about Venom. He didn't grow up with him. It's not his villain. He's into Green Goblin, Doc Ock, Sandman, maybe even the Shocker. That would have been some shit at the time.
Mm-hmm.
He's into the old school villains. He knows the classics. Venom to us is old. To Sam Raimi, he's new. You know what I mean? I think Venom's just now starting to turn 30. If he hasn't already. I forget when his debut was. Might have been 88 or 89. Anyway. So that's why when you watch the movie, Venom sucks. Venom's fucking garbage in this movie. But that's why he's shoehorned in, and Sam Raimi doesn't give a shit. Like, what did anybody expect?
Mm-hmm.
The fact that there are things that are as accurate as they are in this movie is fucking phenomenal.
Although I will also say that despite, yes, Venom sucked. Well, I don't know if I exactly use the word. Well, yes, he sucked. He was shoehorned in, no placement in being here. He was forced upon his hand. But I also must admit that this movie is the entire reason Venom is one of my favorite things about Spider-Man in general, actually. As a kid, I hated him.
Is it Venom or is it the black suit and what it makes Peter do?
It is Venom. It is strictly Venom, actually. Because, like, being somebody who loves kind of horror-y stuff. Because, I didn't read comic books growing up, actually. I'm more of, like, I was more into cinema and stuff like that. So
you're a goddamn heathen.
Whatever. My exposure to a lot of things were actually to the films. And this was my first exposure to Venom. And I was like, holy shit, I love this thing. What is you? I need you in my life, actually. But I still acknowledge that, yeah, shoehorned in. Like, how are you going to force him to work with somebody you don't know enough about just because you think this is what the fans... Well, yeah, this is what you think the fans wanted.
Well, okay, so... God damn it. Hang on. So, what was I going to say? Morgan, go ahead. I got to refine my thought.
Okay. So, Spider-Man 3 premiered on April 16th, 2007 in Tokyo and was later released in the United States both in conventional and IMAX theater on May 4th, 2007. The film ended up grossing $890.9 million worldwide and making it the highest grossing film of the Spider-Man trilogy. It became the third highest grossing film of 2007 and was the highest grossing Spider-Man film until it was surpassed by Spider-Man Far From Home in 2019.
Bullshit.
It's just about the amount of money that was made, and you know. But unlike the previous installments, Spider-Man 3 received a pretty mixed reception from the critics. Basically, those who praised the performances and visual effects and the action sequences also criticized the overload storylines, subplots, and the overabundance of villains. Basically, as we were saying, the majority of these issues were later attributed to the studio interferences and creative differences between Sony, Raimi, and Arad. But Spider-Man 3 earned $336.5 million in North America and $554.3 million in other countries for that worldwide total of $890.9 million. So it did great, especially back in 2007. That's a huge chunk of money to pull in. Basically, one of the where was it? One other thing that I thought was really cool, and I really enjoy saying about this film, that during the actual filmmaking for this wrapped up in October of 2006, and during post-production, Sony Pictures Imagineworks created over 900 visual effects shots. So basically, from scratch, their own complete makes. They ended up having to even use new systems and created some of their own programs to be able to create some of these visual effects shots. And I think that's just a really cool thing. And it ended up having a estimated production budget of about 258 to 350 million. It was the most expensive film ever made at the time of its release, and then ended up basically going over double the amount of earning more than double the amount of its budget.
Yeah, it's funny to hear numbers like that, because what you just said, even with the gross and how much like it cost to make Spider-Man 3 at the time, Like, it's funny because that's probably like half the budget of fucking Endgame.
Oh, I know.
Big time.
I almost kind of want to know what Endgame's budget was.
Oh, it was pretty good. Overrated. Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know where that came from.
Damn, that's a whole nother video.
So actually, I just looked it up. The Endgame budget was $356 million US.
Wow, that seems low.
Yeah.
Oh shit. Yeah. So Rainy. Say. Yeah, but you were what I was fucking thinking about because you know, if you look at this movie like it's supposed to be a Sandman as the villain movie, then like, I mean, it's obvious Sandman gets all the care in this film. He's the most developed villain because that's how it was supposed to be. So as far as this film not having great villains, that's just because, you know, choices were made that weren't done by the fucking director.
That's fair. It's totally fair.
So,
your mate should love Spider-Man 3, Nick.
You know, Nick, you are not wrong about your statement about Wonder Woman 1984.
they just said that last week.
We did say that last week, yeah, during our 1984 review, but
Yeah, too bad you fucking missed last week's episode.
don't worry, Nick.
Okay.
It'll be available for you tomorrow.
So you guys ready to get in this now?
Let's dive into it.
I think we're officially ready.
We will follow your lead, Luke.
Ooh, hey, there we go. All right, well, I'm just going to start off from the top because
Don't get used to it.
If you haven't seen our other reviews for the previous two Spider-Man films are on YouTube, just to give you some context, because we have made notes for the opening credits to these films.
Yes.
And what they look like. And Spider-Man 2 in particular had a great opening because it's like a cool art style, right? Like everybody's painted, and they look amazing. As the credits roll, the music is good. In Spider-Man 3's opening, none of that. So I'm already at a letdown as soon as the movie starts rolling.
Yeah, it's like basically the opening, instead of having the cool artwork and everything, it's just like actual, like the video, like their creative video.
It's
little,
a generic recap.
Yeah, it's little scenes. And I do enjoy that throughout all of them, that it is basically telling you the stories that has came before this film. Like giving you the recap. I really like that idea and that thought. Like give them refresh their memory because you're stuck a year between each film. Might as well give everyone a little freshen up, you know? But it is a disappointment that they didn't keep. It felt like that opening sequence just was less impactful than the other ones.
It is. Knowing what we know now, it is a nice, sad reminder of what is to come for the rest of the film. Everything else is just kind of a letdown.
So you're not wrong on that either, because even as a kid, when I first saw Spider-Man 2, before I thought about filmmaking the way I do now, I love that opening credit scene with the music and the visuals. But I will say that when it came to Spider-Man 3, one, I thought that was the best music for the opening with the Venom and the Sandman remix, which I absolutely loved. And then, of course, the visuals of when this Venom music started, the symbiote kind of takes over the entire screen. And then the
that's
Sandman
cool.
Music, hold on. And then the Sandman music starts up, and the text like fades away in sand. So that's one. Even though I think, I would say Spider-Man 2 was better visually, but I like what they added for Spider-Man 3, even if it was just video recaps of the first two films, honestly.
So, are you saying that the Avengers stole their idea from the opening credits of Spider-Man 3?
You mean, wait, hold on, when it came to main on end for Endgame?
Yeah, for the snap, they stole the idea of the snap from the opening credits of Spider-Man 3?
Theories! Who knows?
So that's Nick, right?
Yes.
Nick, I'm gonna need you to walk that statement back because you are hating on this movie just a little too much.
But so I guess that's all our thoughts about the opening credits.
Yeah. So I'm not gonna go bullet by bullet. I'm gonna lump some of my notes in together. You guys can add or subtract as much as you want. But so obviously the movie starts out, and the first villain that we're introduced to, like pretty much right out the fucking gate, is Harry Osborn's New Goblin. And the fight that they have in the movie is a great fight. I hate the way that it ends, and it looks cool too, like the CGI, because we talked about in the other videos how their faces and stuff don't look so great. It's a little bit better in this movie. It still isn't great.
They're still a little too soft on the edges.
Yeah, but it's better. You can see it's coming along, and obviously it is what it is now. But obviously that's like a whole. Anyway, them fighting is awesome, and I love the idea of the new Goblin. But in practice, and what they actually did with Harry as the quote unquote new Goblin, nah, I'm not feeling it. Like, it's too gimmicky. Like, that's cool that he's got a fucking snowboard, but he's supposed to be the new Green Goblin. You know what I mean? It's like they tried to overly modernize him and try and make him cool. Whereas if he'd have just been another Green Goblin, that would have been fucking great.
So I actually have, one thing is for sure, this fight is my actual favorite fight of the entire film, actually. Nice. But going off what you said about modernizing the new Goblin, because I've seen some people bring this up about the OG Green Goblin design. How was it received? Is it more on the positive side or the negative side? Because I've heard people kind of say that the design was.
I think it's more on the negative side, especially since there is footage out there of screen tests for what they intended to do first with Green Goblin in that first movie, and they actually had like an animatronic mask that's more comic accurate.
Mm-hmm.
So
that would have been sweet.
In my theory is like, they took the criticisms of the first costume and decided, let's not go super cheesy, but I guess they could have come up with something a bit more creative for the design though. But I'm guessing maybe that's why they didn't go with a kind of too gimmicky look to it, I guess.
Well,
that's just my theory.
You gotta find a balance, right? And just because it looks good in a comic doesn't mean it's gonna look good on screen. And obviously, and it's not a bad choice, is for superhero movies, they try to ground them, right? To make them feel more realistic. And that's what they did with these films. You can call them cheesy, they certainly are. You can have your issues with them. They tried to ground it for the time that they came out. So the flight suit makes sense. He does look like a rejected Power Ranger, but I mean, it's fine. It does work. But then you look at like Amazing Spider-Man 2 and what they did for Goblin in that. They tried to make him more comic book accurate, but he just looks goofy in that one too. You know what I mean? So you got to find a balance.
Amazing Spider-Man 2 because I actually like the design of Goblin in that one because I kind of like the idea of combining.
It's more accurate.
Yeah, I like that they combined the OG with the Ultimate version, but we gotta save that for another time, though.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
I really.
So yeah. Sorry, Morgan, real quick. So yeah,
No,
I think it does fall more along the lines of negative, but it's just too hokey for me what they did with Harry in this one, especially considering where the story's leading up to. Like they're supposed to be grudge matching at this point, beating the fuck out of each other. Instead, I got Harry Osborn showing up on a fucking snowboard.
I mean, I don't mind necessarily the snowboard just because it takes a younger approach to like his character was a lot younger than his father, so I feel like they used it to try to help make it match more to his age and what may have been more fitting for his age. But at the same point is I know I really enjoy the entire arc for him, like for the Green Goblin, for like this. And it's upsetting that they threw like Gwen and Venom onto Raimi because I really wanted to see what more he was going to do with Harry's arc.
Yeah.
But I mean, the one thing is about as much as I like and dislike specifically the scene in the beginning where they're fighting is, though it's getting better, it still doesn't really hold, like the CGI specifically doesn't hold up as much for this spot as it does in the future film in later on in the film. Sorry, because they really took a lot of their budget and put it into Sandman. You know,
yeah. Well, there's a bunch of scenes in this film where the CGI looks to where it looks great. Like, and it's like in an instant. It's weird, but yeah, you're right. In certain scenes, it looks kind of, and then in other ones, you're like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
But I think, I mean, like if I'm making this movie, the bad guy's probably just Harry, and that's it. Like that's my whole movie. That's the natural progression of these films anyway. If you want to do Sandman, I would do him in 4, and then we'll move on, to 5 and whatever. But it should have been Harry's movie. If you're gonna have Sandman in it, which he should be in it, then it needs to be Harry and Sandman. That's it. But if you guys don't have anything else to add for that part, I'm going to move on to my next bullet point. If you guys are good,
go right ahead.
I don't have much, but Harry gets amnesia.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, the ending to the fight sucks. And yeah. So obviously the best scene to me in that whole fight is Peter catching the ring. Like, I still tense up when that happens, when he drops the ring.
Yes. Every time you're like, no, don't. Yeah. And
we clench up real tight over here.
Funny enough, when I was watching it earlier today, Dan went on his lunch while I was watching it. Happened to be at this scene. He was like, "Come on, I wonder what you were watching." But it was at one point where you have Harry diving down behind him, and you have Peter swinging, and the ring is right there in the foreground at you. So because it was an IMAX, that's the nice 3D shot for him. Yeah. But Dan came in and he was like, because I stopped and it was paused right on that frame. He was like, if you look at this right here, he looks a lot less stiff than Wonder Woman in 1984. God.
I said it before, but I'll say it again here. Wonder Woman 1984 is the third best Spider-Man movie I've ever seen.
Because I'm here with you guys, I had to share that little tidbit with you.
All right.
Sorry, continue.
All right. Like I said, I'm gonna lump in some bullet points together.
That's fine.
Keep it moving. So, Peter and Mary Jane's relationship in this, which was a highlight in the last one, in the first half of the film, I think lives up to that, and then in the second half, it's fucking pointless, right? Like the shit that happens to them and how kind of forced it is. Morgan, I talk to you about this all the time. I don't know if I've said this to you. When I watch TV shows or movies, like, especially for something like this that is clearly a series, like, you have established how these characters act. You've established their characteristics. So when you just kind of, like, write them to do something that's out of character, I fucking hate it. These characters can get into conflict, the same conflict, and you can write it that's within the way that they would act and still get to that conflict, Peter and Mary Jane obviously have a dynamic in this film where now, in the last film, Mary Jane had all the luck and Peter had none. Mm-hmm. In this film, they switched it. Peter has all the luck. Mary Jane does not. She loses her job on Broadway. Peter's getting the key to the city. Like, his life's going good, hers isn't. And they end up having forced arguments that just don't make sense. You know what I mean?
Also,
like
Go ahead. I want you to finish.
If Mary Jane is going to get upset and get jealous, which is essentially what happens. Like, I guess that could just happen naturally instead of forcing Gwen Stacy in there to do, like, a kind of cheating angle.
Oh, yeah. That's what I was going to bring up. Like, why in the hell would Parker ever think kissing Gwen was going to be okay?
See, because his Spider-Man, when he's Spider-Man, he's more cocky, right?
And he's supposed
to be more chill.
I get that, right. But at the same time, it's like, bro, it doesn't make sense. Like, you Spider-Man is supposed to be, sure, the more confident extension of Parker. The Parker we know wouldn't do that, so Spider-Man shouldn't do that. And also, you shouldn't be doing it the same way you kissed her in number 1.
Like she said,
come on.
That was our kiss. Why would you do that?
Exactly.
With the dude in the second movie, I don't want to fucking hear that. I hate that argument. Like, bitch, you did the same thing.
Oh, and I agree with you.
Never mind. You're right.
No. I think both times were bullshit. Like, one thing is though with Mary Jane in the second one is, when she kisses her fiance at the time upside, like, doing the whole upside, whatever, bullshit. That's her moment to realize kissing him isn't the same as kissing Spider-Man. That Spider-Man's not what I want to be with. Where here, Spider-Man the entire time is like, Mary Jane is my woman. Now I'm fucking it up. I don't know. Maybe it's the woman in me, but still. First of all, everything's forced anyway. It doesn't make any fucking sense. But I hate that even more because she goes, "That's you fucking did it with somebody too." And I'm pretty sure you didn't tell Peter about it. He wasn't on a web, so.
So but okay, the best villain in this film is obviously Sandman. Can we all agree on this?
Yeah, villain with a backstory. I fucking love a villain with a good backstory.
The villain that got the most care, and honestly, just the one character in this entire movie that I actually wanted to win when I think about it.
Oh, absolutely. He has a sick daughter. Like, oh.
That's Raimi's guy. Sandman is Raimi's choice. Obviously, Harry should be in it too because that's where the story is progressing. But should be all about the Sandman. Mm-hmm. And I don't care what anybody says. I will argue movies, but if you just want to say superhero film, Sandman has the best scene in any superhero movie ever. Fight me. When he comes out of the sand for the first time, there's no dialogue. And that is one of the best scenes crafted. Period.
You feel the emotion in that, like you just really like do. you feel the form of awe, but also the absolute desperation, confusion, and just him being scared, like kind of like
now and his resolve, determination that it's not going to stop him. He's got it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and it's all just him from trying to grab that fucking pendant.
Yeah, that was the moment I'm always like, oh! But, I do not disagree with you one little bit on that, because that scene is amazing, but like
it's a great scene.
When we tried last time, as much as I love that scene, there is another scene in this film. It's not my favorite of superhero history, but it is my favorite scene of the entire trilogy of Spider-Man. At least this
Well, good. Then I'll go through these, because I'm pretty sure since we all agree there's no more to say about that scene.
I just want to...
If you don't know what I'm talking about, YouTube it right now.
I just want to say that the scientists are fucking dumbasses. It's just a bird. Yeah. Oh, look, the mass has changed. Can't you see how much the mass has changed by? If you can see the mass has changed, there's probably a number. Tell you what, he is way bigger than a motherfucking bird. I mean, I get it. It's to push. It's to push the story along. But I will tell you what, that thing is always going to bother me.
Well, not even just that, but like the police officers are chasing them. They know he went into that facility, right? And they know that he went in that direction because the scene ends with them coming up to the sand and he's not there anymore. So like they knew he was in there. They don't bother to check. They don't do anything. They just go,
He got away. He got away. All right, whatever.
Good work, boys. Let's go get a donut.
The lead up to that scene is bullshit.
Yes, but right after you get one of the best scenes ever made, period.
And it is a really good scene.
So, what do we got next? Oh, we have the retcon of Uncle Ben, which is fucking stupid.
Bullshit.
Oh, poor old Uncle Ben.
What are you from?
Can you say wait one more time?
The Uncle Ben retcon is retarded. Stupid. It's very stupid. Excuse my language.
What is your thought?
I agree. It's stupid. It really,
Why is it stupid?
Okay. So.
This one's all you, man.
Here's my biggest thing. This entire time, this is actually the biggest thing that always bothers me. You guys knew about, what's the first robber's name? Dennis Cardine. Y'all knew he had accomplice this entire time?
Yeah.
Didn't bother to say anything.
Right.
Never. And now you do.
It's because they crafted it afterwards. There was never an accomplice in the first movie. Let's be real. They're like, how can we make this link and make Peter go apeshit? Oh yeah, this way.
Well, you know what? Up until this point, we've actually had kind of a solid Spider-Man film, right? It still feels like it is a natural progression of the story of the first two.
Sure.
This is what starts to go off the fucking rails.
Wait, I just actually had a thought about something.
Go ahead.
Is it possible that they added that kind of last minute after they had to add Venom in as well?
Correct. Yes.
Yeah.
Just because we have the black suit, let's bring out some of his darkness. So what do we do?
Yeah.
It was literally to bring out the angst.
Yeah, because if that's the case, that's somebody understanding what the black suit represents and what Venom means to the story, and then them being like, "Fuck, we got to throw this in. How are we gonna do this? We don't have a natural way to do it." Just fucking retcon Uncle Ben.
What was I gonna say about that? Although I will say though, Peter's whole journey about learning forgiveness through that, I think is actually pretty good, but it's still really stupid to add that in.
That was the point the whole way anyway. That was supposed to be the point of the theme of the movie, regardless.
Yeah, just forgiveness.
Yeah, forgiveness. It was supposed to be with Mary forgiving him. It was supposed to be with Harry going through and understanding that he needs to forgive. That was going to be a huge thing. I mean, even you have like the wife and daughter of Sandman learning to forgive.
By the way, I had mentioned this before. I don't think either one of you has seen the producer's cut of this movie, but I recommend it because it has a much more satisfying ending for Sandman, and it actually makes the plot of this movie make more sense.
Bring it over. I'll watch it.
Done deal. So Stan Lee has a cameo.
Yes.
God rest Stan Lee.
Yes.
He has a cameo in this film, and it's easily top 5 as far as cameos. Stan Lee.
It's a real good cameo.
Peter's sitting there. He reads the thing across Times Square that says Spidey's going to get the key to the city, and Stanley comes up to him and says, "It looks like one person can make a difference."
That was the line. It didn't. Enough said.
Yeah, enough said.
Yep. I mean, it links it back to what Uncle Ben said in the first film, and it kind of now that he's passed, it kind of like makes it more of a symbol for even who he was as a man. Like, think about all of this that he created, this entire universe has impacted people so much, and for some people it helped save them or gave them something to look forward to. Exactly. So
seriously, I mean, he's a comic book writer, but like the dude should be up there as one of the best authors of all time. I think if you wanna hold comics against him, fine, but like, I mean, there's no MCU without Stan Lee.
Yeah.
But what was I gonna say? Actually, I don't know what I was gonna say about that next part.
Well, cool, because I can move on then. So far, we have not gotten to a point to where our comments are really differing, so I'm just gonna keep moving. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the intros of Gwen Stacy and the symbiote are done.
Oh, let me go up on the symbiote one, dude, because this was like one of the first things I wrote in my notes. The symbiote from space is fucking stupid. So here's my thing about it.
Well, it is in fact from space, which is right.
Okay, hang on. I get that. That is true. It's accurate. But here's the problem: when you establish a world, sometimes you might have to like stick to what makes sense and what doesn't. And the fact that, yes, in the comics, the symbiote comes from space, right?
Correct.
But we haven't even remotely established the fact that aliens could possibly even exist within the world of Raimi's Spider-Man. Every villain has had a more sciencey background, which I personally think they could have but maybe they should have just left Venom completely alone. So,
well, yeah.
I mean, and not to mention, like, it's just completely random. Like, there's no reference to, like, it's not from this Earth or anything like that.
I will say this though, Fro, just and you can keep him up, Morgan. I'm gonna let him continue. But just because in the previous film they do introduce John Jameson and they do say that he's an astronaut and he has been to space. He played football on the fucking moon. Like, they do acknowledge space and that there is space travel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What you're talking about, correct. But I will say that as far as the universe is concerned, they have brought up space.
Yeah. So like, yeah, you're not wrong there. Like, I think it would have made more sense if Jonah's son came back from space and maybe brought it. I could forgive that a bit more.
That's how it is in the cartoon.
Yeah, that is true. But again, it's just like, I mean, it just feels like this wasn't. It just came out of nowhere, right. And then it's not. It's just the meteor's there. No reference to where it could have came from. They just know, like, it's got the characteristics of a symbiote.
Yeah. Well,
that's all we get.
Well, and it just so happens to fall from space right next to Peter.
Yeah, that was fucking convenient. In New York, the only place where anything in a movie happens for some reason.
Also, I know that him and MJ were making out on his spiderweb hammock thing, but like, how the hell did they not hear that impact? They made that impact so quiet, it's bullshit.
The power of the boner is real, Morgan.
I mean, it was, I guess, a small meteorite, and
It doesn't matter. Okay, hold on. At the actual velocity that thing is traveling, it will be heard.
No, and actually, it's funny that you say that because it does just kind of just like flop there, right? It doesn't really make a lot of noise.
It's literally it's like a. That was like it. I was like, what? What? I mean, like I said last episode, something in the space realm was a potential other career path for me. You know, whether being astronaut or just inaccurate. That's all I got.
Well, I don't know if Fro is done, but I know you got a lot to say about Gwen Stacy in particular. So Morgan, if
I am officially done with the symbiote from space thing. That's all I have to say for that one.
Go for it, Morgan.
Well, it's not so much about Gwen Stacy as it is about her kind of lover at the time.
Oh, you talking about Eddie?
So, hold on.
All right, well, hold that then. It's about Eddie.
Hold on. Well, we get our intro with, firstly, Gwen in the classroom.
Yeah, they're introduced at the same time. Go ahead.
Yeah, so we get actually Gwen first. We get a momentary Gwen in the classroom with Peter. And then he's waiting for me to go off. And then we get a little bit later down the road, we see her like basically doing like a weird modeling gig up in this like office thing for printers. For fucking printers. And that is, was it it was during the first attack from Sandman, right?
No, it wasn't.
No, it wasn't Sandman. It was the...
it was a crane, actually.
Yeah, it was the crane, and the crane is going through, and so she's literally holding on. It was a great... The CGI looked way better than it did with Harry and Peter. And, you know, she's holding on to this telephone. I mean, it works, but it's going to fail. And, you know, woo, she falls and gets swept up by Spider-Man. And you see this, like, shot of Eddie firstly looking at her through the camera. I'm trying not to get into Eddie right now. But
Go ahead.
So, okay. First things first. You fucking see Eddie real quick with this little tiny ass camera. Looks up at Gwen with it, and you get like a perfect, in clear, super close up shot. That's fine. You can do that with cinematic cameras. But with the fucking camera he had, there was no way that lens was big enough to zoom in that close to see her. It's not that, but you're literally filmmakers. Why didn't you take that into consideration? You should know your lenses for your cameras. Therefore, you should make the cameras that you are using as props be the correct ones. Sorry, it's the photographer coming out in me, but what the actual fuck?
Oh, I was waiting for that part.
You good?
No! Never! And then, after the
I'm
fact...
glad your stuff is spiking and we can't actually hear you.
After the fact that Spider-Man saves Gwen, puts her down, he's like, oh, let me get a few shots of you, Spidey, oh, yeah, blah, blah, blah. He doesn't even zoom the camera lens out. So he's still technically full zoom on Spidey's face.
Morgan does not appreciate movie magic at all.
No. I do, but I also appreciate realism and making sure things are done right. First things first, if you are a filmmaker, you know your cameras, you know your lenses. That should not be a detail that you miss.
We are on a time crunch, Morgan, and it's a big budget film. There's only so much we can do.
It's bullshit!
Fro, you got anything for Gwen, Fro?
First of all, I honestly just love Bryce Dallas Howard.
Oh, yeah.
That's one thing.
She's fantastic.
She's a great actor.
Her purpose in this film, why?
Yeah.
Even though she kind of did have one of the funniest moments of the film, but I'll get into that because it's also my most hated moment of the film.
She also had her and Eddie were also like a thing.
Yeah.
And she had like the most obvious lady boner for Spidey in front of Eddie. That poor man.
I want to bring this up though too. Gwen was just saved by Spider-Man, and she's down safely. Eddie comes up. All his say to her is, "Thank God you're okay." Spidey, hey, what's up?
Yeah,
Smile,
photos.
Oh,
Yeah.
photos for me.
And doesn't zoom.
Funny.
Dude has a job to do. Well, actually, he doesn't have a job. That's why he does. He's trying to get that job.
He doesn't even zoom the camera lens out.
That's Gwen.
Do you see the pictures that he turns in though? And then, like the next scene or two, he got some great shots for not zooming out the camera. The man's got skill.
Wait, do we want to go off anything else from this scene? Because can I lead the next thing in actually too?
Oh, well, hold on. So, yeah, I agree with you guys that Gwen is totally useless in this film. There's no reason to do it. However, fun fact is that the original draft for the first Spider-Man, she was the love interest. It was going to be Gwen Stacy. The whole ending of the first Spider-Man with Mary Jane even being hung off the bridge there, it's supposed to be Gwen. Gwen's supposed to die. Like, that's the original plans for the first one. Then it was Mary Jane. Mary Jane was supposed to die, and they didn't do that. Thank God. So the fact that we get 2 movies in with Mary Jane, and then they decide, hey, we're going to throw in Gwen, who is Spider-Man's first love interest. Why? Like, who made that fucking decision? I don't,
It was I was actually reading on that, too. It was just another thing they forced on Raimi, actually.
Right, exactly. And then, yeah, the actual intro with the symbiote coming in, it's lackluster, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, the symbiote itself is actually pretty cool in this movie. There's a lot of awesome scenes, like with him in the shadow, and he does like the face, and he like crawls and shit. Like the whole design and how it moves, the symbiote itself is awesome.
I'm gonna save some stuff on that when we get to something a little bit later, actually.
Yeah.
But,
so that's all I got. Go ahead.
Okay, I just want to lead into because you talked about the next scene where his photos were somehow magically amazing.
Yeah.
J. Jonah Jameson and the crew. Still another part of my favorite things about this trilogy. One, J.K. Simmons as J. Jonah is just fucking phenomenal.
Glorious.
And I also had one of the funniest bloopers I think I've seen in a movie ever, which maybe I'll talk about another point or something. But
probably get a chance.
Yeah. What was I gonna say? But yeah, I just absolutely love everything with the Daily Bugle from all 3 of these movies, and I also really like how Eddie Brock. Okay, first of all, I think it was a good time to maybe talk about Eddie Brock specifically. But
yeah, go ahead.
Topher Grace doesn't actually do really a bad job at playing Eddie in like this idea of like he's the foil to Peter. He's like this opposite version of Peter, where he's more selfish and everything like that. I really appreciate that. I like that about him in this movie, and I think Topher does a good job with doing that. Venom, however, that's another story, but I'll give Topher Grace credit for doing good as Eddie Brock, the perfect foil, I think, for Peter.
For what he was given and the direction that they did take the character in, yeah, he's fine.
Mm-hmm. But yeah,
it's not his fault. Venom is lackluster in this film. He is the only one on the cast that if you happen to take the time to listen to the commentary on the DVD or Blu-ray of Spider-Man 3, he actually knows the comic lore. He knows his shit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So he wants to be there. He wants to play Venom.
But of course, it was all just fucked.
Yeah. So the black suit in this movie looks pretty good. I mean, it's just a new skin for the normal suit, but I still like the way that it looks. And
Ryan!
Hey, Ryan.
Thank you for the follow, Ryan.
It's just how we get to him putting on the suit it's not good. It sucks because it goes into the whole retcon of Uncle Ben. Now all of a sudden Flip Marko is this really dastardly enemy that Spider-Man has to go after because he has that familial connection, I guess, because he is now the real killer of Uncle Ben, which is totally unnecessary. If you want to have Peter wear the black suit and bond with the symbiote, all you got to do is have him get his ass beat over and over and over again. If you would have introduced the black suit in Spider-Man 2 with all the shit that they put Peter and Spider-Man through in that film, it makes more sense. What the fuck is going on with Spidey in this one to where he feels like he has to make that drastic of a move and like lose himself to the evil that is the symbiote? Nothing.
I always went by the whole reason he looks at the red suit and is like, wait a minute. Maybe I want to give this new one a try, actually. That's always what I kind of went with. It's just like, I don't think it was just this point of like, I need to be pushed over the edge to win this fight. It was just, I've been
I'm a little
Let's use
right now
this one. It's new.
so I'm gonna put this on. I mean, don't get me wrong. He does lose to Sandman in their first fight, but it's not like he gets his ass kicked. It's he's being a cocky dick and he loses.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we never even talked about that first fight. Actually, we never did.
Oh, we did. Go for it.
It was a good fight. I think that was one of the scenes where the CG was actually pretty phenomenal, particularly on Spider-Man. I think there was one point of Sandman CG that I thought was a bit iffy, but other than that, it was also great. And I always will love Spider-Man punches right through him, and it's just, oh shit. And
yes.
And then he does big fist and punches him out of the back of the truck.
Oh,
it's
actually,
awesome.
Even though the birth of Sandman was great, I actually think that, in my opinion, was other than maybe the Sand Giant, was probably some of the best CG they did on
the Sand Giant. Was awesome.
Of that fist.
Morgan, real quick, you're next. But the only thing that I don't like about that is that all of a sudden he becomes like a Godzilla type monster. He basically turns into a kaiju and just starts like growling and roaring. Like it doesn't make any sense. If he can talk and he's made of sand, why is he getting big and all of a sudden is like a big monster?
Mm-hmm.
That feels like something that was forced on Sam Raimi as well.
Well, but remember he was in that that truck that had sand. So the reason he was able to grow into that giant sand thing is because he had extra sand to build him to that.
Yeah.
So that's their workaround, I guess, for it.
I guess. I just don't like that he just ends up being like a dumb monster, essentially.
That's fair.
But yeah, that was all.
He is kind of slow and
Yeah, and all he does is just roar now. It's like
it's
like Broly, but not.
I mean, to be fair, is it safe to assume even in different giant sand forms, are you still gonna have vocal cords? I guess I don't know.
I mean, hey, Ant-Man can get giant, and he doesn't fucking roar.
I mean, but technically he's still a human, just grown. I had another comparison because I don't know if anyone's ever watched Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. because I watched season 4 because of Ghost Rider was in it, and if you guys know in comics, Ghost Rider can talk. But they made that wasn't the case in the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. because, I guess he's a skeleton now, so would he actually have vocal cords? And I guess that's just the mindset I'm thinking he's transformed into something different, so I guess maybe that's why...
If Brooke can talk.
Yeah, right.
Are you telling me we're really going to compare... Okay, fine, yes.
Hey, Morgan did it. To answer Ryan, see what you're talking about, Ryan, is actually how the suit is supposed to be. That is exactly what happens in the comics, cartoons, everywhere else. It's just for this particular series, while yes, it kind of shows him being addicted to the power, especially when he talks to Eddie later on in the film. It's just not something that's shown very well, in my opinion. Like his whole motivation for even allowing the suit to be on him as long as it is doesn't make any fucking sense because he's only had one fight with Sandman. He barely lost, and there's nothing else that I think has made him that desperate to where he would do something like that and take on the suit. Mm-hmm. Whereas in the comics and the shows and everything, the cartoons and everything else, he really, really needs that power upgrade. And when he does do it and he's whooping everybody's ass, that's when he goes, "Yeah, this is great. I like this."
Again, I'm still also going on just a theory of it's new, so I guess why not give it a shot? And plus, he did say it felt good, I guess, or whatever.
Yeah.
But after this fight, pretty much, he kind of does ditch it for a good chunk of the movie, actually. And there's something about that I want to talk about after we get past the second Sandman fight.
Yeah. Okay. So moving on then, I'm actually at the second fight because the subway fight. I mean, how angry Peter is and how Peter attacks Sandman, that's the fight that I wanted for Harry and Peter. That's the kind of fight that they should have had.
Agreed.
Not Peter, not Spider-Man and Sandman. It didn't, you know what I mean? This felt like a fight between guys that have been rivals for years. Whereas Peter and Harry had kind of a cool skirmish and then Peter trips him up.
Remind me, was he wearing the black suit in the
subway fight? Yeah, he's wearing the black
that's
suit.
what I thought. So I feel like the reason that it has that feel of really being part of kind of more of that grudge fight that you were expecting is because he's wearing the black suit and it kind of the black suit pulls on to the darker side, the darker emotions, the anger. It pulls that out further. So I think that's why it helped kind of give more of that feel like it should have been the fight between Harry and Peter, just because the suit kind of enhances those type of emotions.
No, you're absolutely right. It's just how we got to that point that sucks. Like, it's not explained very well. I mean, I think at this point he's talked to Doc Connors, and, shown him that, hey, I have this, what is it? And I'm pretty sure at that point he said, it'll boost these, and it's hard to unbind and all that jazz. But just the fact that he put it on because of this stupid Uncle Ben red, it's just, it's not the black suit that I wanted. It is the black suit, but it's not the one that I expected to see. If that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So, going off with the fight, is there any more parts of it that we want to get into detail on, I guess?
I mean, it's fucking brutal, and then obviously they get away with the brutality because Sandman's made of sand, because Spidey fucking pushes his head up against the fucking subway car and it grinds his face.
Yeah, and you just see the like, oh, that looks so sweet, though.
Shit.
And I just feel so fucking bad for Sandman. I really do.
Yeah.
I love it because Sandman punches Spidey into a train. He bounces off the train, comes back, and gets punched again.
Yep.
Yeah.
It was honestly a pretty intense fight that was what I wanted. But, like...
That's another one where I hate the ending, too, because the ending of the fight is Sandman gets wet, and then he starts to dissolve, right?
Yeah.
And then they do that goofy shot where Spidey lands on the conveniently placed big-ass cartoonish water pipe, and he's pulling on it, and the bolts are popping off, and they keep doing these stupid shots of Sandman's face each time a bolt goes off.
Yep.
Like, all right, he's standing there, too. Like, move!
Well, they had to write him out because they needed to make some more time for,
Yeah, right, exactly. And then he just dissolves into a mud monster.
Mm.
Yeah, it kind of like goes into like he slowly like takes the form of Muck from Pokemon and just slowly just down.
Yeah. And then he's gone.
Yep.
Then, 12 years before Detective Pikachu comes out.
Yep.
And, he's got her revenge. He's walking away, but he looks past the mirror. He's like, "This ain't right."
And yeah, thank you, because what comes next?
You'll get your rent when you fix this damn door.
Emo Peter.
It's so
God
bad.
Damn it.
Oh, it's so bad.
Except for the scene where he's walking down the street. That's amazing.
You're the only one who likes that scene.
Come on. That is like...
They did it in Spider-Verse.
Yes. Yes.
Well, come on, y'all. It's hilarious. It's emo Peter.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
Hey, baby, what's up?
Man.
And then he starts dancing. Oh, yeah. You like that, huh?
However, if I'm being honest, those are probably the best dance moves I could do at the club.
I mean, that's fair. What? I'm not a great dancer, so...
If you see me at the club, I'm busting out the Tobey Maguire from Spider-Man 3.
I'm doing it too. But,
cool. Hell yeah.
I expect it from both of you.
Yes, even as much as I love that walking on the street scene, emo Peter really is honestly stupid. It really is. Like, did you really have to do the hair thing? Seriously?
It's just, it's a convenient, ugly time capsule of what the mid-2000s were for us.
That is true.
Oh my god. That is so true. Like, the whole super cheesy, all the, like, women, like, ooh. Like, no, that is so early 2000s. It's god-awful.
I'm just talking about the emo look.
I know, but I'm just talking about the encompassment of all of it.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think we can all agree that Spider-Man 3 would have been better served coming out in, like, 1997 alongside Batman and Robin.
Probably. Also, right, guy, yeah, getting the neighbor's daughter to make cookies was also fucking hilarious.
Oh my gosh. Her, like, him at, like, the phone and everything, too.
Right after,
you got some milk?
He beats Sandman, he's turning emo. Out of nowhere, he just kind of ditches the suit for some reason. There's a deleted scene that for fuck's sakes, why didn't they keep this in? So, in the scene where he's looking in the mirror, he's looking at the suit and everything like that. There was a moment where, for a very brief moment, there was like a flash image of not Venom necessarily. Well, kind of. It was like, it looked more like Spider-Man just with a mouth. Not exactly how Venom would look, And that just causes Peter like, no, I don't know what that was, but hell no.
I think that's in the producer's cut.
Yeah, it probably is, because I've seen that scene a bunch of times. I'm like, y'all should have kept that in, because in the theatrical cut, he just kind of takes it off and looks like, no. That would have explained it so much better.
Well, they went off they
just kind of takes it away.
For the theatrical cut,
he just puts it back on anyway.
Yeah. For the theatrical cut, they go off of.
Because I can't hear you.
You can't hear me?
Wait. Yeah, you're muted.
I must have.
There you go.
I must have bumped my hotkey. Thank you. Sorry about that, guys. But literally the whole, like, I think the reason that they did the route they did for the theatrical cut, and like they just kind of like were playing like that, he could realize after talking to people and everything that something's not right with him. Mm-hmm. And and you had the whole like saying from from Stan Lee's cameo, from Uncle Ben, that kind of stuff that was kind of like sending him that message, and he kind of like made the connections like, I was a different person before this suit. And so they played off of that motif, is what I'm saying.
And sorry, go ahead, Morgan, finish.
But no, that's about it. I wish they saw that, because I love what they did with the symbiote and how the symbiote moved. I mean, just nerding out a little bit, they created this whole like different motif by giving the life of that symbiote. Like seeing that like happen in that deleted scene, it has a lot more impact, I think.
Mm-hmm. I like the way the symbiote looks in this better than I like the way the symbiote looks in Venom.
Yeah, I love the kind of the way it moves, because Venom is just like a pile of goop, pretty much, that can move.
Yeah, pretty much.
This one just has like so much more like life. And,
it has a personality. It feels more like a creature.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the reason it has that creature feel, by the way, is because when animating the symbiote, Raimi did a lot to make sure it didn't resemble a spider or an octopus, because they still wanted to give it a sense of character. So the CG model was actually made of a bunch of separate different strands. When animating Venom himself, the animators actually observed, like, sure, some footage of an octopus. There's forms of that in there, but they actually used a lot of... they observed a lot of footage of big cats, such as lions and cheetahs, to create those slow, stalking, agile movements that it does when it moves each strand or each tendril of its black body, if you will. So I thought that was really cool.
Okay, Ryan, here's the thing. They have written them. They haven't just written themselves, but they've also made movies. They've made themselves into a whole, because Venom's already out, and I'm convinced that by the time all this is over, Venom, Morbius, Spider-Man, they're all going to take place in the same universe. Whether or not that ends up being the MCU or not, I don't know. But they're going to be in the same universe. And since Venom's already here, no Spider-Man's going to have the fucking black suit, because that would make no fucking sense.
Mm. I mean,
if they were going to do it, Andrew Garfield should have the black suit in the next movie.
I mean, do you think that they may, Into the Spider-Verse, talking about the live-action Spider-Verse, do you think they may eventually pull in Tom Hardy's Venom and Eddie Brock character?
It's possible. Yes. Maybe I think they can maybe work something around that.
I would love to see that.
The rumor right now is that Tom Holland is in fact going to be in Let There Be Carnage, which is cool, because I want to see Venom and Spider-Man team up to fight Carnage. I don't care if it's in this movie. I want it to be in the third one anyway. Mm-hmm. But I want to see it happen. So that's the rumor. I hope it's true, and then they'll all be in the connected universe. But since Venom already came out, and they retconned and shoehorned and whatever you want to call it to get Eddie, that symbiote, and be Venom anyway, there's really no...
That's really intriguing, with having that theory with Tom Holland, because that shows right there that when we get to the multiverse, that... Yeah. The Venom that we know now from the 2018 film is set within Tom Holland's part of the multiverse. And that's intriguing because, I mean, Sony is the one that put out Venom. They didn't put out the Tom Holland Spider-Mans. That was hardcore Marvel.
So real quick. if Spider-Man is in Avengers, it's a Marvel movie.
Correct.
If Spider-Man is Spider-Man's movie, it's a Sony movie.
That is fair. But because of like the Marvel ties for Spider-Man, like with the Tom Holland film specifically, you don't get you're kind of almost like, okay, so why wasn't Shield and other parts of like the government kind of looking more into Venom than what was in the Venom film? But that's because they were also created, there's those different ties and there's different rights to the film, so like, but coming to the story and what is in that now, the shared multiverse, if that rumor ends up being correct, it makes you wonder what it would have been like if those hands were also in it as well.
That's an easy way for them to work around it, is just stick to the multiverse shit.
Right.
I'm pretty sure they're going to be directly connected. At least I want them to. And then, but still, that does also negate a black suit for Spider-Man because we already have Venom. Could they do it? Sure. Would it make sense? No.
And to be fair, the Venom could actually, the reason that that Tom Holland's Spider-Man is even in Venom could be a travel through the multiverse. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're of the same verse.
I would personally hate that idea, but I'll wait and see. Fro, you got anything for your buddy Ryan?
Nah. I'm just like one like, okay. I think maybe we should move back on to Spider-Man 3, actually.
Yeah.
All right. So my next thing is now we're dipping into, because like Fro said, Peter doesn't have the suit on anymore, and it's kind of like it's an interesting point in the movie because he had the suit on, he got used to the power, gets a little scared of it. Obviously, there's deleted scene as to why it really is, but like you said, Morgan, it's kind of like him being like, "Hey, something's up. I probably shouldn't have this on." And he's trying to fix his relationships because at this point, he's not having the best relationship with his job, with MJ. He's starting to fall back into things not going his way.
Mm-hmm.
So this is his attempt to try and fix shit. But at this point, Harry has his memory back, and he got to MJ first, right? So that whole scene for Harry with Norman, Willem Dafoe has a cameo in this film. I'm not convinced that Willem's even there. It feels like they just use old footage to me. I mean, he might be credited with being in this film. I'm not actually convinced that he was in fact there.
So, actually kind of fascinating.
And then, actually, Fro, if you want, because my next thing is about talking about the fight too, so if you got something to say about their second fight while you're doing this, go ahead.
Not necessarily about the second fight, other than I just like it, but it's going back to just the moment he got his memory back. So, for one, I do like that scene, because I just kind of like the way it's edited, and it's kind of got that horror vibe to it. I like that, but my thing always has been is just, well, what triggered that just to happen? To all of a sudden just start hearing Norman's voice again. Like, it felt like it just came out of nowhere, like, what triggered that? You've looked at that picture many times in this movie already.
He kisses Mary Jane and has a flashback.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I guess, he just kissed her. Oh, for the record, MJ didn't even go to Peter about her trouble. She went to Harry. They made an omelet, which, fun fact, James Franco took a cooking class just for that scene and still kind of screwed up the flip, which I just find funny. But, they had
it's
a
adorable.
Moment, but MJ felt guilty and left. So did Harry. But then all of a sudden, just Norman in his head, you've taken your eye off the prize. I was like, where did this come from? Why is this happening now?
Yeah.
So that's always been my thing about it. And, of course, Norman, his greatest advice to any villain. First, we attack his heart.
That's another reason why I feel like it's just a retread. Like, they just threw in some ADR, they took footage from the second one, just gave it a different background. Like, Willem Dafoe isn't actually on set. They just kind of just made the scene happen with editing. And, it's fine, but I don't actually think that he was there.
Yeah. Also, I meant to say this in the last bit, but I totally forgot. But I just wanted to make note that it took an hour and 5 minutes for Venom to even latch onto Parker.
Oh, yeah, that's true. So much shit in this movie.
And we got another hour before Venom even shows up.
Yep. Anyway, I just wanted to... I forgot to say that last time.
But, yeah, like Luke said, now he's got his memories back. He's going to force Peter and MJ to break up. That bullshit again, honestly. And,
yeah.
Wait. I always find this hilarious where they're talking in that restaurant about, listen, Peter, I'm the other guy. I've always loved her. And Peter leaves. And
I love the smug fucking smirk that he gives Peter from the window. I'm like,
he's like,
You slimy bastard.
And then
Yes.
the truck passed and
And he winks at him too, like, you son of a bitch. I want to fight you.
I always found that hilarious.
I mean, that specific part that you're talking about, Luke, is the nice pullback to like from the like basically the driving grudge to the oh hey we're best buds again, hey let's go buddy, to grudge like it's back.
It's kind of, it just, narratively, it's kind of a shock too, but they had to sideline Harry somehow, so
Yeah.
give him amnesia.
Yeah,
Okay. Alright.
bullshit.
But yeah, then this anger triggers Peter to put on the black suit. Like,
Yes.
I
And
can,
then,
I can understand this. Is like he's mad. Like his
yeah. And the first thing he does is he goes to fucking Harry's doorstep and they fucking throw down. That's a good fight.
It is a good fight.
And of course, I love the triggers. And when she kissed me, just like what she used to, the taste.
Oh.
And I was like, Harry.
Oh, that is just to get him riled and to hope that the riled is gonna fuck him up and like give Harry the opening. But oh, Harry, you dirty dog.
So real quick, I am a comic collector and I have more Spider-Man comics than I should probably ever have ever. But one of the biggest storylines that I have is the big fight between Harry and Peter. And the cool thing about it is, like, it's I think it runs like 5 issues, and by the time they actually fight, like, they hate each other. They hate each other so much that Peter goes on the offensive, like he does in this film, and he fucking gets his hands on Harry, and he goes, "Look, this isn't a fight between Spider-Man and the Goblin." And he pulls off both their masks, and he goes, "It's between Harry Osborn and Peter Parker," and they beat the shit out of each other. So that's what this reminded me of, and I wish this would have been the whole movie, but I still like that neither one of them is in costume. They're not really using weapons. They're just fist fighting.
Except for Harry. Harry pulled out like the...
Well, later on, right? Later on, right, he does go into his fucking weapons, but when they first start, they're just fucking throwing hands.
Oh, no, because remember, Peter punched him a few times, then just straight up tried to stab him. And then right after he gets the knife away, the things come out of his arm.
Oh,
no,
yeah.
Harry was going at
Right,
it.
never mind. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
They still do throw hands, though. They throw some hands.
Mm-hmm.
They go ham on one another, and it's wonderful.
Yeah, and like it's great because the fight ends with fucking Peter giving Harry the throat punch, and then Harry tries the cheap shot at dude, and Spidey's like, "Nah, here, take your bomb back," and throws it right in his face.
And now he's all fan of the opera.
Yeah, how does he survive that? First of all, you take a fucking mini grenade or a pretty significant bomb right to the fucking face.
If I were to make any theory, I mean, not necessarily the good one. Maybe it's because he's juiced up on goblin serum. That's the only thing I can maybe come up with.
I'll take it.
That's possible.
The judges will allow this.
Fight leads up to more emo Peter, and we should have covered this earlier. So earlier in the Daily Bugle, J. Jonah Jameson still wanted to expose Spider-Man as a fraud. Gives him the challenge: catch Spider-Man with his hand in a cookie jar. Before Black Suit Spider-Man fought Sandman, Eddie ran into him, but Spider-Man wasn't in the mood and broke his camera. So he took a bunch of other pics and decided to Photoshop Spider-Man apparently robbing a bank. And that gets Peter like, oh yeah, Black Suit Spider-Man robbing a bank, and Peter responds with, "Put some dirt in your eye," and of course exposes Eddie.
Well, I mean, since Morgan's pulling out fucking all these plot holes with cameras and shit, like nobody's ever heard of fucking Photoshop, nobody looks at this photo and goes, "Oh, this looks oddly familiar."
A photo by Peter Parker, which I didn't notice until like much later in life, actually, which I find funny.
And it says by Peter Parker down at the corner.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Go ahead, Morgan.
I loved that. I mean, just them whipping that out and like, basically like, well, not Toby, but Peter just being the whole, okay, bro, I haven't been able to get my Spidey photos, but you know what? Here's a big old fuck you right to the face. Like, and what I really enjoy is they really took someone who is a Photoshop expert and actually like gave them the lines like, hey, this is what they should be looking for to make sure to check if this is a Photoshop fraud and that kind of thing. And I just got to say, I did really enjoy that little like nerdy bit. got there.
You're okay with that nerdy bit, but not the fucking zoom. Anyway, so
Yeah.
after the second fight between Harry and Peter, Peter fully embraces the douche, and he takes Gwen Stacy to where Mary Jane is working at this jazz bar and has a fucking dance number. I am skipping the dance number because I want to get to the clock tower. Do you guys?
Just hold that thought.
All right.
This was the worst scene of
Okay.
this was. But it also had the funniest moment of when the dance number started. You know, he's doing all his moves. There's a point where Peter rips off the jacket and it close up on Gwen's face and there's wind blowing in her hair. And I was like, what the fuck?
Early 2000s, man.
But Gwen realizes that was all for her. You know, Peter and MJ have a little, not talk, but they just talk a little bit.
I will say that woman to woman here, guys. I know you're not a woman, but the fact that, like, they had Gwen just go up and say, I'm so sorry to MJ, that's something that doesn't normally happen, and I really enjoyed that, like, kind of like realizing this is all for her. Like, this is all for MJ, not for Gwen. And Gwen just saying, like, I'm so sorry. Basically, like,
Gwen, on,
like,
he uses
like, I'm being fucking used and he's an asshole. And just leaves. Like, that, and that is how starts triggering to Peter what is wrong.
Actually, well, it
go
was
ahead.
More
Partially.
Partially. After fighting with some bouncers, he unintentionally hit MJ.
Right, but that's part of the lead up.
On this part, because I always love this little moment where she asks, "What's wrong with you?" and he's just, "I don't know." And it's just that moment where he just looks like, like it was just that, and he didn't even say it's just. That's what's going on here.
Yeah, she's looking at it too. Like they both get it. That's what's fucking you up, bud. And then he goes to the fucking clock tower. Yay!
It's kind of weird that previous scene, worst part of the movie. Then this whole thing is my favorite thing of the entire trilogy. This scene, even again as a kid, not looking at films the way I do now, had me shook. With Peter first just sitting on the side of that clock tower, just like, what the hell? Eddie Brock in the church, asking Jesus, kill him, please. Because, FYI, he did see Peter with Gwen earlier before they went into the jazz club, actually. But at the same time, Peter is desperately trying to rip this shit off. Yep. And actually, I think my favorite moment of it is he tries to rip the mask off. It doesn't work. He ends up hitting the bell on the clock tower. And I love just Venom, like, still attached to his face, just screaming, like, just cut out with the noise. I love this scene so much. Along with the music, Danny Elfman, big time credit for the score in this scene. Eddie, hearing the commotion in from the bottom of the church, goes to a different section of it to look up and see, what the holy shit, Peter Parker is Spider-Man, and he's still trying to rip this damn thing off. As he's doing so, the symbiote is coming up with the sound of the bell ringing constantly, actually, and it's falling down to Eddie now. And at this point, Peter has gotten the suit off. Again, still loving everything. Now it's bonded to Eddie. And this is the birth of Venom. I don't know how long we're into the film, but now we finally get Venom. But
we're 2 hours in, bud.
Yeah.
With like 20 minutes to go.
Yeah. But despite that, first of all, I think this is the time we should maybe start getting into some stuff about Venom, because again, this is the movie that made me really sold on him. First of all, I love his design. Venom's design in this movie, I fucking love, especially the distorted webs, which isn't actually in the comics, but I love that addition. The sound design on Venom, I love it, actually. So usually I'm not about high-pitched kind of roars, but it worked well for Venom, honestly. Comparing the new Venom to the old Venom, that's a whole different thing. I think both have their strengths and some things that I personally don't like. But yeah, but that entire scene, just the lead up of the birth of him, because even if it's 20 minutes left of the film, I still love it. This was just amazing. I love that scene so freaking much. I swear, I don't care if anyone brings up the train fight in Spider-Man 2 or anything, or even the birth of Sandman. That scene just works me, because I have a love for some kind of darker moments in things, and that Yes.
Morgan, I'm gonna go. I love Venom being introduced in this way too because the best thing about it is that when the symbiote comes down and it's grabbing Eddie and you see him in pain and stuff, they actually like put fishing wires and shit with fishing poles on him, and they're literally pulling and tugging at this man's face and body. So he doesn't have to act too much like he's in pain because they're literally pulling him in different directions. The cool shot where he's on the ground and he like goes in on him and he turns into Venom for the first time. I love that shot too. Yeah, my second favorite thing is scene about the film. The first one's obviously Sandman's birth. Is this? It's really emotional. It's like it's a scene that feels like it belongs in a different movie. um, but yeah, it all works really well for me too, man. I can't really say too much else. You said everything.
Sorry,
That's fine.
That's just my favorite thing. And credit to Sam Raimi too for not knowing much about Venom, but just I don't want to say nailing, but really doing a great job at
it. Got really fucking close. Obviously, somebody knows the lore about Venom, and actually, a more I guess depressing thought. The only thing that's really different between the comic and this scene is that Eddie Brock isn't in the church to ask God to kill Peter Parker. He's thinking about offing himself. That's why he's in the church in the comics.
Yeah.
So
go ahead. Your turn.
Oh, my turn? I mean, I loved that whole scene. I mean, it shows it kind of like, sure, I don't know the best way to word it, but the best thing I can say is it kind of shows a symbolism, like when Venom is like basically freaking out because of the pitch, because of the bell. It kind of like that moment, because it's not only Venom struggling, the symbiote, Peter is struggling, and it kind of like really emphasizes and kind of like almost encapsulates and captures the entire feel of what's been going on this entire film since like basically the decline of Spider-Man, if you will. And I really like the symbolism that it gives off, and I like later that even though that Venom is so prominent with Eddie, that in the end there still ends up being remnants of Eddie left. And I mean, y'all can go more ham on this than I personally can, because these are your babies. And again, I love Spider-Man, and I think it was a very well crafted scene in general. And I like how they did it and how they made it further transition.
Yeah. Well, I mean, as you know, I guess as fans, like Fro and I know, like what it means, right? It's Peter is now done with the suit. He doesn't want that power. He knows what it's doing to corrupt him. He doesn't give a fuck. Bring it on. He wants it.
He wants to end Peter. He wants to end Spider-Man. That's his fuel. And obviously, like we had seen with Peter, the suit feeds off of that and makes it worse. And then through that, you see the full, because of how accepting and open Eddie was to the symbiote. That's how we get the birth of Venom.
Right. And it's a better introduction to Venom than actually the movie Venom. Moving on.
Although we could argue that I just love how Venom starts in Eddie's head in that movie, but never mind though.
Hey man, we'll get there. So I'm just gonna throw in my last two bullet points because we're pretty much at the end now.
Yeah.
Sandman and Venom meet up, and like it's the way that they meet up, I hate because they just kind of bump into each other. And then the ending is really abrupt, and there's just no time for Venom because there isn't supposed to be time for Venom, I guess. The limited time that they do give Venom, Fro, to your credit for talking about the feeling of a horror film, in that small isolated section where it's actually Spider-Man versus Venom, that feels like a horror movie because he like jumps out and shit and like keeps sneaking up on Peter and doing some shit. Like, if they would have done that for a whole movie, that would have been great. Sam Raimi, as a horror director, could do amazing things with Venom.
That's true, but sadly, not enough time. But this final battle, I like this final battle a lot, honestly. We got Giant Sandman, Spider-Man's trying... Oh, yeah, for the record, MJ's captured again. What else is new?
Right.
There's a point where Venom's got Spider-Man by the throat, and Sandman's just punching the shit out of him. Harry shows up there. Oh, yeah, Harry, when the news broke that MJ was captured again by Sandman and Venom, Spider-Man, for one, got the old suit back, went to Harry to... oh, wait, we gotta talk about this. Went to Harry to ask for help, but Harry's like, fuck you. And so, listen, Mr. Butler, man. How fucking long did you know that Green Goblin, Norman Osborn, was killed by his own equipment?
Apparently the whole time.
Knew that Harry was destroying himself, tearing himself apart with the anger of Spider-Man killing his father, then knowing that Peter did it.
To be fair,
you didn't say anything that entire time. That listen, this is what happened to your dad. I know you might be mad at Spider-Man, but this is the truth. He took a grenade to the face. James Franco is pretty. You turned him not pretty. This is your fault. Why didn't you? Morgan, what were you gonna say?
No, it certainly would have saved us a lot of time if you would have just said it right off the bat, right?
To be fair, more than as much as yes, this annoys me as well. In the Butler's defense, he knowing that Spider-Man wasn't the one who killed him, the Butler probably also was present in the shadows around the corner to hear his wish to Peter not to tell Harry. So that's my best guess as to why.
Wait.
Or no. That happened that wasn't in the. I take it back. The Butler's just an asshole.
No. Yeah, exactly. You have a good theory. It just is.
They didn't do it. Yeah. They literally just did it to make like the whole. Doesn't make Spider-Man spill the beans because Harry probably wouldn't believe him anyhow because his anger.
He tried to tell him right the whole fucking time. Right. It's just to continue with their theme of forgiveness, and I'm sure when they started writing it, there's probably numerous drafts if you can find them to where there's no Venom and they're still doing the forgiveness thing, and this isn't in there. But there's so much shoehorn shit in this film that why not throw another thing in there?
Yeah, I mean it's kind of the reason that they even have him believe. The only reason that Harry's able to believe the Butler is just because this is the only other man that's really been prominent in his life is this Butler guy. And why would he lie? And it's just kind of like, okay, you did another retcon, kind of, almost.
Yeah.
But it's like, you should have, I just wish there was like, sure, it wasn't necessarily Raimi's fault or however they wanted to do it, because narratives changed with Venom being thrown in, but I just wish there was there was prep for it in the last one, or they at least made it make more sense compared to number 2 going in, or sorry, the first one going into this, it is what it is, but it's disappointing.
Yeah. Right. What do you got on the fight, though? You got anything on the fight? Morgan?
For which fight? Like the end fight?
Yeah.
I mean, we get to the point where Spider-Man and Venom are fighting. Is that what you want to talk about right now?
Oh, go ahead, bro.
So,
at the end, so go.
Yeah, so it was really interesting because, like, Peter, as, like, even part of this, even goes and tells them, like, they have MJ, I need your help. Mm-hmm. And then he basically says, fuck you. And that's when the Butler kind of, like, gives him the info, like, hey, your dad really, yeah, And from there, you get into Peter is getting fucked. Like, he's struggling to actually succeed with getting MJ, and that's when we get the swoop in of Harry, and that was nice. That's kind of like you getting the completion of Harry's arc. Is it as in-depth as you wanted? No. I wanted more from it, because that's what really intrigued me about the film. That and Sandman. But I enjoyed at least the ending that they gave to it, because it was at least in some form satisfying. And then I still have issues with it. Don't get me wrong. But I think at least it served its purpose. It got to where it needed to be. And then we got the relatively lackluster, in my opinion, fight between Spidey and Venom.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not wrong there.
No.
So, I mean...
And then it wraps up.
Yeah. It's really, like you said earlier, it's abrupt. It's very quick. Yeah. But I don't know if there's anything you want to delve into. I mean, there's a really cool shot where when, like, Eddie and Venom gets blown the hell up, you actually have a momentary second where you see his skeleton in the flames.
Well, yeah, because so you're talking about Spidey getting Eddie out of the symbiote.
Correct.
And they show just the symbiote, which looks great. Like that looks more like Venom than Venom kind of did, right? Like he's fucking huge and all tentacly and shit. Like he looks fucking sweet. Yeah, and then Spidey blows him up because every superhero movie now, whether the villain's good or bad, like we just have to kill them by the end of the movie because nobody's ever heard of bringing the villain back. Yeah, everything's abrupt. I only get a solid minute and a half of a cool fight between Venom and Spidey. Mm-hmm. Even with them teaming up, there's only limited action because I think by the time this whole thing starts, there's only 10 minutes left anyway.
Yep.
So yeah, it's all just super lackluster. And like Venom dies, great, he's gone. Harry dies, and it's about that. I'm happy to see that they got back together and the forgiveness thing. Like, okay, fine. That's not what I wanted, though, because I just wanted them, like, besides the fact that I wanted them to beat the shit out of each other, like, obviously in the books, the butler isn't a thing. That doesn't happen.
Right.
And they get to a point where Spider-Man, this is in the comics, Spider-Man beats Harry, but Harry still doesn't necessarily forgive Peter. And then they just kind of go their separate ways. And that's how they kind of resolve that whole issue in the books. That's what I wanted to see.
Yeah, that's fair.
As far as the film is concerned, though, I mean, it's the ending is super abrupt. We just kind of wrap things up real quick, and then the setup with Peter and Mary Jane at the end of the film, where it looks like they're going to get back together and things are going to work out. That's cool, and I would have loved to have seen that in Spider-Man 4.
Well,
that's all I got.
We know what happened with Spider-Man 4.
We'll get to that too.
So my whole thing was, so I got to rewind actually. So
sure.
Of course we got to the point of Harry's death, but my thing was, first of all, I don't know why I've always just liked how Spider-Man defeated Venom, which is the sound cage pretty much. Also, yeah. I want to bring up when it was happening. We talked about the CG in one point. I think this was easily the worst thing I saw of CG, where it's a shot of like when Peter lands and he sinks like the tubes into the ground, and the way his head looks on his body was like, what the hell?
Yeah. Well, that's like Morgan said. In one shot, the CGI is really good, and then in another, it's not so great. This is another example.
And then, of course...
and it's disappointing.
I was going to say... Peter pulls Eddie out, and like you said, Luke, just that shot of just the symbiote on its own. Again, like the bell tower scene, was just a oh shit moment for me. Because again, first time introduced to anything Venom related, so just seeing that was like, oh my god, and then just blow it up. I was like, aw, you couldn't do anything cool with that? You couldn't fight that a little bit? But like I said, because Sam Raimi and horror, just that combination of Sam Raimi plus Venom could be really good. Because again, going back to Danny Elfman's score, I love the music in that little moment as well.
Yeah.
And then of course,
that's a great movie. That could be a great movie too. Just Sam Raimi just getting a whole movie of Venom. Yeah, could.
Blown what the hell by Venom. No carnage. All those fake Spider-Man 4 trailers. Spider-Man and Sandman have one last moment together, which we didn't cover. Of actually telling what happened to Uncle Ben, which is
still stupid.
Still stupid, yes. But Sandman, they needed the money. He didn't the way Peter visualized it earlier was not true at all. It was just, hey, listen, man, I need your car. I'm sorry. And Uncle Ben tried to talk about it like, listen, this isn't the way. You should just go home. Dennis runs up behind Sandman, startling him, and unintentionally shot Uncle Ben, and then just left him behind. Well, Dennis left Sandman behind, like, dude. Although he didn't want to be associated with murder, probably.
Yeah, so Yeah, and then he like fucking just flutters off into the wind. But that's what I'm saying. In the producer's cut, there's another scene with Sandman, and it's pretty cute. It just shows that he's still around. He's basically like just watching his daughter now because his daughter's at like a park, and then Sandman turns himself into a big sandcastle for his daughter.
Aww.
That's really
Also,
fucking
for the
cute.
record, looks like
awesome.
looks like Thanos got Sandman too. I guess.
And then yeah, that's it. The film's over, and I mean, it's not nearly as bad as everybody says that it is.
But
However, it's not necessarily a good film either.
Yeah.
So what out of 10? What's your rating?
Hold on. I'm gonna switch to Anthony. Anthony, give us your rating.
if I had to really give Spider-Man 3 a rating, so I acknowledge this movie is bad in places, but it's so good in places. But I have a soft spot for it, and you know what? I'm not even gonna get into that. This is really controversial. But the thing is as bad as some of it is, I still love this movie. Actually, like legit, I do love this movie. So, and it's like a staple of my childhood. Actually, I honestly give it an 8 out of 10. There's not a point in time that I ever just not like this movie. Again, I acknowledge this is bad, but I grew up on this. It's just
Wow.
I really,
Whoa.
really like Spider-Man 3.
What?
I really do.
We need to clip this.
I like it a little better than Spider-Man 2.
This
Because
this needs to be clipped.
I am the only person in the world who thinks Spider-Man 2 is not the greatest superhero movie ever.
Ooh.
I really don't.
Ooh, you guys might throw hands.
I
well,
like Spider-Man 2, but
that'll be another episode.
I just have, for some reason,
Oh, no.
I just sometimes prefer to watch Spider-Man 3. I just genuinely really like this movie. Still what it is.
It's fun.
I just really like it. I
It's
just
fun.
do.
It's a fun movie. Morgan?
All right. Sorry. I just wish that we were on, like, the three of us when he said his rating, because Luke and I shared this look of, what?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I like that look.
That's why I had to
Eight.
switch back.
Holy shit. He
Damn.
went 8 on it.
Whoa.
What's your rating for Spider-Man 2 then?
Spider-Man 2 is actually more of a 7 for me.
Fuck out of here.
Oh,
Morgan, go.
whoa. Okay,
The
guys.
first one is my favorite of this trilogy.
That's fine. That's acceptable.
That's okay.
Go ahead. Morgan.
So, I think if I went off of, like, rating it back when when it first came out, I would give it, like, a harsh 5 out of 10. Now, mainly because I do laugh my ass off at some of the parts really well. Part of it, it's almost like some forms of it is almost more of a comedy for me. I'd probably give it a 6 out of 10, but it doesn't break that range, fro. But yeah, that's where I'm at. Like, between a 5 and a 6, we're in that range. It just depends on the mood of the day and how much I want to laugh at it. So,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah. But yeah, Luke, I guess it's your turn. Let me switch over to you. Give it to us.
Okay. Thank you, Morgan.
You're-
That really awkward.
You are so welcome anytime.
No, I'm giving it a 5. If I want to be generous, I'll give it a 6. This is an average movie at best, for sure. But it's by no means a bad movie. You can still follow the plot. You understand everybody's motivations to a point. The characters are still pretty fleshed out. The CGI is pretty good overall. I think we can agree on that.
Yeah.
And it's got some really cool action sequences in it. So yeah, this is definitely actually no, it's a 6 for me. It is a 6. There are way worse Spider-Man films than this, and I cannot wait to cover them because holy shit, covering the good Spider-Man movies first is really making me bite my tongue a lot. And I'm kind of getting sick of doing it. So we need to get to those other films ASAP because I got a lot to say. Yeah, a solid 6 for me.
Awesome.
Oh, and I guess if we're talking about it, like, it's real easy because I think we can all see a good movie, like a really good movie in here. It's just you got to take out Venom, and decide that you're going to focus on Sandman and Harry Osborn. Then we're good to go. Like, that's pretty much it, right?
Like, I know even Raimi originally wanted to have the Vulture in it.
Yeah.
But
we didn't get 4 because it was going to be the Vulture in 4 too. So,
because
whatever.
I really would have been fine with it just being no Vulture, no Venom, just Sandman and Harry.
Cool.
You're giving me 2 villains with backstories. You're talking my kind of language.
Yeah, one of them is already established because we're 3 movies in. Like,
exactly.
Harry diverts it, but it didn't happen.
Yep.
So yeah, there's our ratings, and shit, guys, we did it.
We did it. We went a little over. Hope y'all don't mind, but we're there.
Most controversial opinion. I know.
It's Spider-Man. I'm expecting it.
Hey man, I'm saying I would never have expected to hear anybody give this movie that high of a rating, like legit.
It's just a weird thing. Like, for one, again, I grew up on this. I've got a soft spot, and then when it comes to Spider-Man 2, so here's the thing. I can understand why anyone in the world will love Endgame. I can see why anyone would love The Dark Knight. Even as a kid, I never saw Spider-Man 2 completely in that range. I don't know what it has ever been about Spider-Man 2, but it's just like, I am not saying it is bad. I am really not. But I'm just like, greatest superhero movie ever? I don't know. I mean, technically, yes. Wow. It is definitely better than Spider-Man 3, and like, if you really think about it. But again, I just have an intense soft spot for 3 for different reasons. It's just,
it's fine. It's fine. We're only judging you.
Yeah, it's cool. You can judge me all you want. I don't care. All right. Again, I love the first one. It's out of the trilogy. That's my favorite of all of them, actually. Like, I'll choose to watch the first one over 3 any day, actually. It's this hard thing. That's honestly something I'm honestly gonna have to think about. Like, just why don't I love the Spider-Man 2? Why? That's the only thing I really gotta think about.
Yeah, we need to discuss that at a later date. Yeah. We're gonna start with you, Fro. You're gonna have the floor now. This is your chance to let the people know where they can find you, what's going on, what's up with you. And this is how we're gonna end the show every time. So the floor is yours, sir. Let people know who you are and where they can find you.
Okay, so as you can see in that bottom right-hand corner, of course, you can see some links to my Twitter, my Instagram, and my Twitch. I mostly do Twitch. I'm mostly a Twitch streamer where I do a bunch of variety of different games. You can find me at That Dreaded Fiend. Same thing with Instagram if you want to get a little more personal with me, or just see me be a professional more in real life. Then there's also Twitter where I can keep you updated on what's new, what's changing, with stream schedules and everything like that. I also have a YouTube channel, also That Dreaded Fiend, where mostly right now it is edited moments of different streams that I have done. Although, just to give you a heads up, I'm working on some live action stuff in the future, actually, that I'm excited to do. So, yeah, that's where you can find me. That's what I'm about. And, yeah, controversial.
Yeah, guys, please go check him out on Twitch and everywhere else. He is one of our very good friends. He is an amazing person. He's funny. He's animated. And you know what? He's a great filmmaker as well. And we're excited to eventually down the road, once COVID allows us to, be able to get those things out. So.
Yeah.
Oh, so now you Christian now? Are you serious?
Yeah.
Whatever.
Morgan, you're going last.
I'm going last. All right, here you are. Let's go.
It's going to be real simple anyway, since we did this last week, so I'm going to keep it shorter. You can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and Twitch, also at LukeW306. Give me follows, come view. I appreciate it when everybody does, and say thank you for watching, everybody that showed up today, because we had quite a few viewers at one point, and the new follows that we've had. Ryan, thanks for following. Yeah, Morgan, your turn. That's all I needed.
All right, everyone. So I also stream. All 3 of us stream, if you haven't caught that yet. So I am the True Tash on all of my socials. Some of the tags you can see down at the bottom are a little different. One of them is True Tash because whatever reason it won't let me to put the. But anyway, I'm the True Tash. I'm a variety streamer. You can watch me stream video games. We have this amazing show that I try to host on that channel when I can and when it allows me to. And also, really exciting is I'm getting ready to launch a full-on D&D campaign on my on my actual Twitch. So that's going to be exciting. That's coming up here in the next week or two to come. So keep an ear out for that. Follow us, give us some love. And once again, thank you so much to everyone who was here tonight, who was here last week. You all are amazing. And, well, you help keep the drive going. And we love being able to do this with you guys. And especially now that we're on Twitch, I'm sure Luke can also say, will agree that we love being able to see your comments live and being able to interact with you and get your opinions as well.
Absolutely, because it breaks up us, getting on rambles and shit. Like, it's awesome that you guys do interact with us and you give us something else to talk about too, and just kind of break up the monotony. But as always, and now we have it fixed because last week's episode didn't record to Twitch. This one definitely did. So if you can actually catch us live, catch us on Twitch. We're gonna put the videos up on YouTube. We'll share those around. You can always catch the show. And to the 6 people that are still here, those are the real MVPs that actually sat and listened to us for 2.5 hours. So a special thanks to you. And I'm doing this every week. I'm sorry. We have Fro that just joined us, which added a little bit more work to Morgan, but everything looks fucking wonderful. So again, give Morgan a big round of applause. Tell her she's awesome. She did all the work on these overlays, and she is producing the show. She's making everything happen. It's fucking awesome. Morgan, thank you very much.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Apologies to the viewers where there's occasional a quick switch in between the two of them because I thought they were going to go longer and then they were real short and I'm like, shit, I should have just stayed on the one. But, that's how it is. That's how it is in production. You roll with the punches. Anyway, another note also to what Luke was saying. These videos, sadly the first one you can't view on Twitch because settings were messed up, but we got that situated. You can watch it on Twitch, but every Monday at 12 p.m. you'll be able to watch them on YouTube as well. We had an issue getting things ready for this last one. My program hated me. I'm really sorry that the first episode was not uploaded in time, but do know that it will be uploaded and ready for you tomorrow. You can view it. If you weren't able to view last week's episode, you can view it there. Sadly, it does not live on the Twitch right now, but in the future we will upload it to Twitch once we reach our affiliate status. But
I'm gonna share the shit. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah, so we're going to have that uploaded for you all tomorrow. Follow our socials for the Wannabe podcast. That way you can get it if you weren't able to watch it last week, and you can get caught up on our review for Wonder Woman 1984. But
that is Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram.
Yep. Podcast Wanna is the thing for all of our socials, and then Wannabe's podcast for Twitch and YouTube. So again, thank you to everyone who showed tonight. Thank you so much to our great friend Anthony, who is willing to firstly join us, be part of this, and also when we were doing this in person, assist us even behind the scenes. You were amazing, and thank you so much for all of your assistance and support.
No problems, besties.
All right, well, I think without further ado, we can wrap it up for the evening. This is our special guest, Anthony Sturdivant, or that dreaded fiend, or sometimes Fro.
It's not my whole ass government name.
Sorry, boy. It's already on your lower third, right below your camera, so.
Yeah, boy.
Sorry.
I'm just messing around.
But that is our amazing friend and guest for this evening. Also, I'm Morgan Holsworth, and my fellow co-host is...
Oh, I thought you were going to say it. Luke Walters. Pleasure.
Thank you all so much, everyone. We will see you in the next one. Do we want to tease what the next one is? Oh, hello, Owen. Owen comes in to say what it is.
Yeah, go for it. Go ahead.
So next week we are reviewing the... Owen, shush. Next week we are going to be reviewing the new Disney Plus film Soul that was released on December 25th on Christmas. So tune in next time to hear what we think of that. Luke's kind of a Disney hater, so it'll be a fun one. I also usually like Disney stuff, and I have some stuff to say, so it'll be interesting. But anyway, without further ado, we will see you in the next one. You guys are amazing. We'll see you next week at 8 p.m. And you know what, guys? Don't forget the popcorn.
Bye.
Bye, everyone. Have a great night.